beginning again. The need you bury deep, the secrets that you keep are at the ready. Are you ready? I'm finished making sense, done bleeding ignorance at home. Defense, spinning infinity, but the wheel is spinning me. It's never ending, never ending. Same old story. What if I say I'm not like the others? What if I say I'm not just another one of your plays? You're the pretender. What if I say I will never surrender? What if I say I'm not like the others? What if I say I'm not just another one of your plays? You're the pretender. What if I say that I'll never surrender? In time or so untold, I'm just another soul for sale. Oh well, the page is out of print. We are not permanent. Temporary, same old story. What if I say I'm not like the others? What if I say I'm not just another one of your plays? You're the pretender. What if I say that I'll never surrender? What if I say I'm not like the others? What if I say I'm not just another one of your plays? You're the pretender. What if I say I will never surrender? I'm the voice inside your head you refuse to hear. I'm the face that you have to face, mirrored in your stare. I'm what's left, I'm what's right, I'm the enemy. I'm the hand that'll take you down, bring you to your knees. So who are you? Yeah, who are you? Yeah, who are you? Yeah, who are you? Don't we know that you'll pretend? What if I say I'm not like the others? What if I say I'm not just another one of your plays? You're the pretender. What if I say I will never surrender? What if I say I'm not like the others? What if I say I'm not just another one of your plays? You're the pretender. What if I say I'll never surrender? What if I say I'm not like the others? What if I say I'm not just another one of your plays? You're the pretender. What if I say I will never surrender? What if I say I'm not like the others? What if I say I'm not just another one of your plays? You're the pretender. What if I say I will never surrender? So who are you? Yeah, who are you? Yeah, who are you?
All right, everybody, check into the stream today on this freaking Thursday. On this freaking Thursday, check into the stream today. We got things to talk about. We got things to go over and cover today. How is everybody doing today? Shitty week. I've had shitty weeks before. It is what it is. I served in the army. I served in the military. I learned how to take an L and go about my day. And I'm going to tell you guys exactly how the fuck we're about to do that during this stream. So check in, you guys. Drop a comment. Let me know where you're tuned in from. How you doing? You had your safety meeting today. Let me know what strain you had. This is a 420 friendly newscast here on Mercado Media, no matter what we're covering. And it seems like we're going to have a lot to cover now over these next 4 years. If anything, thank you, Trump supporters, for giving me job security for these next 4 years. You know, I was really concerned. I was actually like, damn, I might have to start talking about travel, you know, obviously geopolitics and the wars and what's going on in Europe. But like, that was an L for me. That was an L for me. I was losing people for the last 2 straight years because I stopped covering what the main focus of my platform was, which was domestic US issues. oh, you just gave me a whole bunch of domestic U.S. issues to talk about and cover for 4 straight years. You gave me an opportunity to go back and do exactly what I was doing and where I left off of. Because again, I had my platforms before Russia invaded Ukraine. Many people developed a platform due to the invasion, but my platform was already built and ready to go prior. Already built and ready to go prior. I used my platform to support Ukraine and to support Ukraine's fight against it, which also really quick before we get into this, shout out to everybody that's contributed to our campaigns for Ukraine. I'm going to show everybody exactly how to cover the world news and also domestic geopolitics. No problem. It's all good. I'll be your guy. 84%, $53,763 out of $63,600. 84% complete on our campaign to support Ukraine. Thank you, everybody, for doing so. Also, here's this BS article really quick from Time magazine. And basically what this is going to mean is that Vladimir Putin and Trump are going to put on a little show for everybody, okay? So when it comes to geopolitics with Russia and what Trump has planned with Russia regarding Ukraine, it will basically amount to Vladimir Putin gets to keep the territory, which is what I fought against. You know, I really did try the best I could to advocate against Donald Trump's policies, but I guess, you know, the United States of America just did not, you know, they weren't going with that. And I'm going to kind of get into exactly like how Trump and MAGA were able to succeed in this year's election. They didn't just succeed, they fucking clapped. They fucking clapped. They went undefeated. They won everything. They won the Senate, they won the House, they won the popular vote, and they won obviously the Electoral College, which they would have needed to win anyways, but they won the popular vote. So they went all out. They got everything. Okay. And now we need to talk about exactly why this happened. Before we get into that, let's watch Kamala Harris's concession speech, and then also Joe Biden addressed the nation today on Donald Trump winning the presidency again. So let's go through Kamala Harris's concession speech and then Trump.
This is an ABC News special report. Now reporting, David Muir.
Good afternoon. We're coming on the air. We want to take you to live pictures right now because Vice President Kamala Harris is about to come before the cameras at her alma mater, Howard University in Washington, D.C., to concede her loss to former President Donald Trump. The vice president, of course, hoped to give a different speech last night, but here she is today after learning that she has lost the election to the former president. She's at her alma mater in Washington, D.C., where so many supporters had gathered last night hoping that they would hear a much different speech from the vice president. Today, delivering this speech.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Biden 2028. Hell yeah.
So let me say, and I love you back. And I love you back. So let me say, my heart is full today. My heart is full today, full of gratitude for the trust you have placed in me, full of love for our country, and full of resolve. The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for, but hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright. As long as we never give up, and as long as we keep fighting. To my beloved Doug and our family, I love you so very much. To President Biden and Dr. Biden, thank you for your faith and support. To Governor Walz and the Walz family, I know your service to our nation will continue.
Hey, real quick, if anything, we get our governor back. Minnesota's a blue state. We got freedom up here. I'm happy with that, to be honest. We got the federal government, but MAGA and the conservatives care so much about states' rights and states' power. Oh, that makes me feel happy. You know what I mean? Because you care so much about the power of the states, and everything needs to go back there. So knowing that we're gonna get Tim Walz back, I feel kind of like we're like a warm blanket. You know what I mean? When you got when you got the cold and you got like the flu and you're sick, you're not doing good, and you just grab soup and a blanket and you just like feel better. It's kind of, I feel like living in the state of Minnesota right now.
And to my
And no, there's no term limits on governors in Minnesota.
extraordinary team,
And yes, I will be using my platform for local politics in the state of Minnesota.
the volunteers who gave so much of themselves, to the poll workers and the local election officials, I thank you. I thank you all. Look, I am so proud of the race we ran and the way we ran it. And the way we ran it. Over the 107 days of this campaign, we have been intentional about building community and building coalitions, bringing people together from every walk of life and background, united by love of country with enthusiasm and joy.
And it was not enough. That's why. I'm gonna be so brutally honest during this. Okay, there was 107 days. That is not enough. This message was a great message. Okay, the campaign and the vision was great. Loved it. Too little, too late. Too little, too late. Biden was the candidate. He should have dropped out immediately. I know this is hindsight, right? This is hindsight looking backwards. He should have dropped out way sooner than he did, and that would have given Harris more time. But it still wasn't enough, though. It still wasn't enough. It was the atrophy of media manipulation and propaganda for 4 years that have seeped in. And then when you have a side that's already consuming media and information that is lying to them, and then when the Democrats go, you know what, Biden, you're done. Here's Harris now. That even made Democrats mad. But you got to imagine how much that in the world that's already been curated for, the other side, what that did for them. That's why we saw such a fucking fat L. I'm going to get into it all, I promise.
In our fight for America's future.
Democrats have plenty of good leadership prospects. We got to actually see that when Biden did drop out, but it was too late.
And we did it with the knowledge that we all have so much more in common than what separates us. Now, I know folks are feeling and experiencing a range of emotions right now. I get it. But we must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that
do you know the population of the United States? Do you know what the population of the United States is? It's 300. I know what it is because I've looked it up. It's 324 million. 324 million. You know what half of that is? 167 million. Do you know what Trump won with? Do you know how many votes he won with? You know what this tells me? That we're not getting enough people registered to vote and involved in U.S. politics. And I'm going to get into exactly why there were less votes this time than last time. 72 million. Again, half the country is 167 million. And Trump, yeah, he won the popular vote of the voting populace, but that isn't half the country. That tells me there's more work to do and there's more people to reach within the middle class, lower middle class to get to voting. And that's work we got to do, especially for the 2026 midterms to win back the House and the Senate. Cope and seethe. 72 million, 72.8 million. Yes, that won the popular vote. Congratulations. God, Trump won. Wow. Yeah. Good for you. I'm not going to sit here and cry and go storm the fucking Capitol because of that. I know that there's work to be done. And I know that there's more than half of the country that isn't voting. That's what this tells me. That tells me that there's so many voters out there there's so many Americans out there that literally did not vote in this election. And the ones that did, more voted for Trump. That's what it tells me. So it also tells me that we have to focus more on the middle class, the working class, be less fucking politically correct about it, and get to work. That's what it tells me. Trump supporters, you're not going to have any moments of like, Mercado's crying and coping about it. No, motherfucker, boy, I know exactly what I got to do.
We will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power. A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. That principle, as much as any other, distinguishes democracy from monarchy or tyranny. And anyone who seeks the public trust must honor it. At the same time, in our nation, we owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States.
Hopefully the left doesn't burn down cities like last time he won. That didn't happen. Minneapolis still has EMP6 lots where buildings used to be. That happened because of police brutality. That happened because the police were killing people and it was going viral, killing Black Americans, and it was going super, super viral on the internet and it made a lot of people mad and upset. That's why that happened. Didn't happen because of some presidential candidate loss. Didn't happen. Kamala Harris lost and you will not see a storming of the fucking Capitol. Cringe ass, stupid shit. You're not going to see that.
And loyalty to our conscience and to our God. My allegiance to all three is why I am here to say, while I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign.
And you can't either. That is what's called resiliency. Okay, that is what we're taught in the U.S. military. A lot of you guys have been watching my war news for the past 2 years, and you thought maybe yourself of like, maybe you see yourself in the soldiers of Ukraine, maybe, and like you empathize with their fight. What better time now than to dig the fuck in and prove your resilience? Because that's what soldiers need. When you serve in a military, you need resilience. You literally take at least 10 L's every single day in the military. You are told one thing. You're like, hey, you're going to get off work by 5 o'clock today. You can go home and be with your family. 8 o'clock comes by, 9 o'clock comes by, 10 o'clock comes by. You're still at work doing dumb shit. Or you're told, hey, you got to go out there and do this job or do this mission. And then the mission literally changes like after you just spent like 3 hours planning it and then getting your team ready to go. And then you got to like quickly adjust to that and then do a new plan and go out there and then tell all your guys how to do this new plan. But guess what? SP time is in like 10 minutes though. You don't have hours now. So yeah, you better learn resiliency. And if you're not going to learn resiliency during this, it is going to be a tough time for you. But don't worry. I served in the Army and I know how to teach resiliency. So you're actually in the right spot for it.
The fight for freedom, for opportunity, for fairness, and the dignity of all people.
This guy's leading you to a dark place, guys. America first is what it is. See, I'm not going to have people like this in my chat. So, like, this is the new rules. This is new chat rules. I actually have new chat rules. I'm sorry. I'm going to let Kamala finish. But I have new chat rules all around. No political correctness. No chat deletions for saying words like retard in the chat or cunt. All right. No, nothing. That's gone now. We are going to go into the places that we need to go into. What I will not have in my chat. This is what I'm not going to have in my chat. There's not going to be harassment of others, right? If I see somebody in chat or mod seeing somebody in chat, literally focusing on, like, say, for example, I love you, Rachel, right? Love Rachel. If someone in chat's like, Rachel, you're a stupid dummy head, but are using like very, you know what I mean? Like, they're harassing my community members. We're not going to have that. That's just not going to happen no matter what. But we're going to remove all levels of political correctness within my chat in general about topics. Okay. But I will not have harassment or abuse of others, especially like, say, for example, Rachel, love you, Rachel. Say Rachel's posts like, this person's a stupid dummy head. And then somebody goes into the Discord server and finds Rachel and was like, hey, I remember you called somebody a stupid dummy head. Oh yeah, well, you're a stupid dummy, you know? And that's basically, you know, we're going down to atomic level with it, but that happens, and I'm not going to have that either. Like, if you have a problem with someone, I'm not going to be okay with you like finding them outside of the problem to continue the problem going. That's like stalking. Okay, that's not good. Not going to have it. If you have a problem with someone, you have your problem with them in the chat, and then maybe you go to Discord and talk about something else later. Okay? But political correctness is dead. We're not doing that anymore. That shit's done. But I'm still not going to have disrespect for others just because you can be disrespectful. Okay? You can say what you got to say. You can say what you got to say, but I'm not going to have people like abusing others in my community. Like, that's not going to happen, especially with the amount of rampant abuse and shit I've seen in communities over these past 3 years on the internet. It's been dog shit, and I don't tolerate that anyways. So I don't care. You can have your opinions of what you want. You're going to be able to have less language barriers on what you say in the chat, but I'm not going to put up with, I mean, nobody would. Not, I mean, for example, say you supported Trump, say you supported him. You're not going to have people in your Trump supporting community like attacking your family members, right? Even though you support Trump so much or whatever, and I'm against that completely, obviously, but even you aren't going to tolerate that. Why the fuck would I? Yeah, I'm against that, but I'm not going to tolerate that core fundamental principle stuff. You know what I mean? That's not going to happen. But I've already informed my mods, and they're cool with it. They're fine with this. Things are changing. We've had chat. I've seen I've seen it in my chat before. I've seen the words in my chat, and then bam, it gets deleted by a mod, and then people will go, well, I don't feel like I can say what I want. You know, I feel you. That's changing. I got you. That is 100% changing. If anything, the way to connect with the middle class and the way to connect with what the fuck just happened yesterday is to stop doing all that. Is to stop it. Stop with. And I know that this is how Trump talks, and he focuses on race, and he focuses on this shit. But as the opposing to this, and that's what it's got to be, because it's the opposing force to this, also can't do that, which means all of the whole structure of like fitting people into like some politically correct racial category has to just completely stop. All of it has to stop now. It has to. This loss was devastating. This tells me that the core fundamental strategy has to change. The whole thing has to stop. Like, the message can still be there, and obviously Americans can get inspired enough to vote against this if it gets too bad, and that's how you have to see it. Americans will vote against Trump in this when it gets too bad for them personally. In 2020, that happened. In 2020, people's family members were dying. People were in the hospital. Motherfuckers were in the street burning shit down. People were storming the Capitol. Like, it was like, what is this? This is like, and it was personally affecting everybody. We saw it, and that's why people voted against it. The engagement with the middle class and the voting class that is middle class and people that are less politically correct stopped. It stopped when Biden won. Obviously, because of the geopolitical situation, many people have been focused on Russia's invasion of Ukraine, or with the far left, they've been focused on Israel, Gaza. Understandable. Those are very key issues to pay attention to and focus on. That's a lot of empathy there. But we have our own country. It's been kind of like we've had our backs turned to it now. And MAGA and the right wing have been grinding that shit. They've been fucking cooking. They've had Andrew Tate up here telling you all these misogynistic messages. And then you got Dana White shouted out Nelk Boys and Aiden Ross on the presidential stage. And it just is what it is. You can't cope and seethe about it. You can't be like, they're fucking terrible. That's their strategy. Then they won with it. That is the strategy they've employed since Biden became president. It's been nonstop media and how bad it is and how dog shit it is, which tells me we need to have a similar energy if we're going to defeat this or beat the Trump MAGA nonsense. And that doesn't mean we shut out MAGA either. It's kind of the similar strategy to like the LSA. Now, honestly, this is how I'm seeing it, right? I have a community. I have a community of people. I have people that I'm responsible for because you watch me, you follow me, you're in my Discord, whatever. So I'm different. I'm talking about myself as being the head of this, what we got going on here. You personally, I'm not going to say you need to keep Trump supporters as like your Facebook friend or like your social media friend. I understand your anger. I understand that you might not want to be associated with the individuals that supported Donald Trump for president. I get it. You got to protect your personal space, but I have a community and I need people to be a part of it. And in order to bring people away from this MAGA, because again, the concerns at the middle class are valid, right? They were just told the wrong message. They were just been pumped with propaganda for the reasonings, but the core issue is still the issue, right? So it's up to us to bring I mean, not us. Not if you don't want to, you're just a part of the community, right? I have people that are strong voices in the community, and hopefully you can continue to use your voice within my community. But as a community leader, I plan to bring these people and show them like, hey, you know, you don't have to be a part of this cringe ass cult to actually care about your family and friends. Okay, you don't have to be a part of this fucking stupid nonsense. Like, you can still have all the, and then, but we have to do that by not telling them that they are stupid for doing so. Does that make sense? Like, their core value, their core person isn't stupid, right? That can't happen. And I understand the validation of those feelings too, but it has to be from the position of these of what the politicians are doing are stupid. Does that make sense? It can't be attacked, and I know it's easy to, and they dressed in fucking trash bags, and I know that they wore the diaper, and I know they did all this. I'm basically telling you what I've learned over the past like 3-4 years. Okay, it just needs to be focused on what Trump is doing, or what it has to be obviously what Trump is doing, but it can't be just that either, because then the cult will just go into, no, they're just attacking my leader again. No, I need my safe space. Okay, we need to include them. We need to include them into our community and be like, hey, you know, and I'm gonna be so serious. It's for the past 2 years, how many people I know voted Trump in 2020 maybe, or 2016, and because I've been covering Ukraine and we've had this great community, and I've showed you that, like, hey, you know, I'm not politically correct anyways. I'm not a politically correct person anyways. I got fucking castigated by the pro-Ukraine audience because I wasn't kissing ass to other YouTubers on a regular basis. I am fucking this. I told you, I voted for Trump in 2016. I come from that. I can go back into that mindset as well. I don't need to become that again. I don't need to become that person again. I'm not doing that, but I know what it takes to go into that mindset and the people that exist within it, and then talk to them like they know, talk to them like they understand. Talk to them how they will get it, or how they will get it. And that's, I guess, why I even have MAGA followers and why I even have conservatives on my thing. I have been so openly against Trump for the past 4 years, but I still have MAGA and Trump followers. Why? Because I'm not politically correct, and they fucking know I'm not. They know I'm not. And that's why, like, Andrew, I just wish you would stop talking about domestic politics. You're hurting my feelings. You're so good on Ukraine. I am the same person all the time. I just have some core beliefs and values, okay, that I like to hold on to now because I had to work for it. The last time Trump was president, I was a cocaine addict. I was in treatment. I was homeless. I was stealing from people when Trump was president last. You know, this is going to be a tough time for me mentally because we're going back into a period that was not my best. MAGA's favorite saying is, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? In every single way. In every single way, I am an entirely different person. I am an entirely different person than I was when Trump was president last. Okay? So now that he's going to be president again, that's providing a lot of like mental challenges with that, because it's like, fuck, you know, like I, as a person, have become different since then, because again, I supported him. I was on the Trump. It's, if anything, it's like a mirror world right now because I'm on the other side of it. But 2016 was exactly this. Hillary Clinton lost. Trump supporters are like, fuck yeah, haha, libs, cry libs. And I was on that side. And I was doing everything they're doing. That's why it's like I have a different brain about it. I'm not going to do a TikTok where I'm just like, tears are coming down because Kamala lost, because I remember exactly how that fucking went on the Trump side of it. Okay, I just know exactly what needs to happen to win. Midterms are in 2 years. Okay, you got to win back the House and the Senate in order to stop any of Trump's agendas. And you're not going to do that by like, oh, all the voters are racist and all the voters are garbage and this. And yes, I know, I get it. They basically like owned up to it. All right, but remember what was that comedian? God, I'm losing it. What's his name, chat? Famous comedian about again, people that are not intelligent. They're stupid people. But like, that's majority of the people. And when you understand that, you can't call them stupid. Okay, you just can't do it. But you have to. People are manipulated. People will believe what they want to believe because it validates what is directly around them. Okay, and if we provide a community to them that's directly around them, yeah, Carlin, thank you so much, Carlin. If we provide a community that's directly around them that isn't telling them that they're stupid and whatever and is like, hey, you know, I mean, and not even policies anymore. Nobody cares about policies. Policies are great. Policies are important. But if anything, this election proved that policies do not fucking matter. It matters how much you can connect to the regular person. It matters how much you can like You know, and even within that, obviously, you're going to want to push more progressive policies and more things that are going to lead us away from this fascism. But it can't be in the politically correct environment that it is now. It's got to be in more of a connecting to the middle class. Like, if anything, what did the Trump campaign ran on this? Like, they ran the Trump campaign in 2024 ran on a leftist platform. They did. They ran on an anti-war the elites, which again is but it's their messaging, you guys, and it worked. Their propaganda worked. So now, you know, no one ever said being the opposite to this, because this is what is America is. Just this is the America is. It's comfortable. Understand that America's decision that was made is America just going back to what, oh, Trump is going to save it, he's going to fix us, we're back into this again. Okay, understand that. They're trying to go back into the comfort blinders. Being against that is a harder position. Because I come from MAGA world. I come from the right wing. I come from 2016 voting for Trump, and it is easier to do that. It's easier to just be like, he'll fix it. Like, you know, all my family and friends are right wing anyways. This is comfortable. Man, you know, this is best. This is how I was raised. You know, I don't have to challenge anything. Oh, fuck the libs. That's all I know. That's all I care about. Easy mode. Being the opposite of that is not easy. And if that's what you believe in, understand it's not going to be easy. And that's why you need the resilience. Okay. You need to have that fact. And the best ways you can do that is like hunt the good stuff, like find ways that, you know, things are still going to be okay. Like like I said, Minnesota, blue state still. If you live in a red state, and you voted against Trump, you know, the best thing you can do right now is to continue to engage within your community. Maybe be a strong individual with what you believe in, you know, and maybe that will spill off onto others, because Trump himself, the administration itself is going to fall off the tracks. Trump's administration itself, by the end of this, I don't know what America is going to look like at the end of this one, okay? Because it was already a shit show at the end of the first one. But in order to sway people away from wanting more of it and wanting it again for a third time, we have to be, if you're against this, you have to, like, I know I'm not trying to say you have to do any of this, but like your immediate like bubble, it has to be like something that other people want to emulate. Does that make sense? Or even if, like, yeah, you can hold your values that are against Trump within that, but if they see you and they're like, oh man, this person, because the Trump cult is not a positive cult. It's based on fear, hatred, and bigotry, and they just won. So now what do you think is going to happen? They're going to be fighting themselves. If anything, what I've learned from movements and from things that work together to defeat another thing, after they do the winning, they fight. There's infighting. So what's going to happen in MAGA is there's going to be some infighting there. That's going to happen soon, because they're going to have to compete for who is going to be the top Trump person. You got to understand, it's a battle. It's a battle over there. It was already kind of happening prior to Trump winning, but now that Trump won, you know, who's going to be the number one media guy? Who's going to be the number one MAGA person? You know, who is that? You know, is going to be Tim Pool? Oh, we can't have Tim Pool. He took Russian money, right? He's not a real American. Tim Pool, we're going to be seeing that. And that's going to be an opportunity for people that are in general against Donald Trump and against what happened in this election, to then start bringing people into the community, or start bringing people into your community away from this. And it doesn't even, and like I've always said, it didn't have to be like for Democrats or for the Democratic Party. No, that was just the best chance we had to defeat Trump, was the Democratic Party nominee. There was nobody else that was being platformed that would have had even a slim chance. Biden would have had more votes than Kamala Harris. Fact, he would have. There's no way you get less votes than Hillary Clinton. That just doesn't happen. Okay, Biden would have won, and yes, that does say a lot about the United States, but that can't be changed. Okay, what can be changed is what we can do immediately around us, and start again. If you want to be engaged in politics, and what I'm going to be doing with my platforms is to connect with the middle class. Actually, most of us are middle class. The majority of the country is. We are anyways. That's what we have in common, is that we are just trying to survive and make money so that we can get to the next day. That's the core value of the United States, and the majority of us are there. And it also tells me that a large portion of the country did not vote, so we have more work to do to get people registered and get involved politically. I mean, if anything, again, Trump and him, the administration itself is going to create this anyways. It's automatically going to happen. The other L too, The other fat L of this campaign was looking to Republicans, was not looking towards the progressives, which also are populist. Okay. The Democrats, if they're going to be the party that has the best chance to win again, need to run a populist candidate. They cannot. This is liberal tears. I'm explaining the strategy to win next, and you're like, this is liberal tears. Nah, don't worry about it. You can go sit off and just listen to me. You can go sit off in the corner and listen while we all plan and strategize to win. Okay. Populist can't be somebody that's like viewed, at least viewed, as like a neocon. Okay. I don't think Kamala Harris is that, but that's what the MAGA propaganda put her as. That's what the MAGA propaganda lambasted her as. And again, the MAGA propaganda won. GG's, you did great. Good job, MAGA propaganda. You got it. So we have to fight against that. So it has to be a populist candidate that people can rally around quickly. Okay, it can't be this last minute, like 100 some days to the election, and then here's your candidate. Like, that can't happen. It just in general cannot happen. It has to be a populist, progressive. Okay, it does have, the candidate has to be progressive. Me as somebody that's going to be going into communities, I'm going to be trying to get more of the MAGA minded middle class, because they were easily like, if anything, it should teach populist progressives that MAGA is achievable for voters. Actually, yes, maybe on the core, like on their core, how they'll get there is a different way, but they supported anti-war, and they supported the against, they thought, what they thought was against the corporations because of the high cost of living, right? But MAGA sold them this. It's not going to happen. Obviously, you know the truth of MAGA and what's going to happen actually, and it's going to be tax breaks for the rich, and they're going to make a fuckload of money. Okay, but if anything, you saw that MAGA played the leftist card for this election, and they actually did have a lot of people on the freaking far left supporting them. They did that, and that's why they did sweep. So while people that have a platform need to engage more with the middle class, if the Democratic Party wants to live, or they want to actually have a chance, they need to platform populist progressives like Obama, like an Obama type, or even more progressive, to be honest, that can connect with people, that isn't like a bot. For example, I'm going to play something. I love Dean. Dean did great. I love Dean. I love Dean's. Really, I know we're going to get back to Kamala Harris, but I just have all these thoughts. I've been thinking about it for the last like 24, 48 hours and how we can recover from this. Because it's not a question of like, oh, it was a small L. No, it's not just like something that's going to be quickly fixed. It's like, this is real work that needs to happen, because MAGA and the Republicans have been working overtime for the past 4 years with media and propaganda manipulation. But for example, Dean, I love Dean. He did great in the Jubilee debate. He did great in debating against MAGA and made all the great talking points, all of the best, most brightest talking points. This guy is smarter than me when it comes to politics. Okay. Content like this is not going to win the election, or it's not going to win Democrats ever, any election ever. So conservatives, here's why you made the wrong choice. Okay. And then here is the video with it.
Donald Trump will be the president of America in 74 days. I want this video to serve as a message to the 72 million American citizens that voted for him, because you deserve to know the harm that you've caused.
No, not going to work. I already want to stop. I already cringed out at 10 seconds. I'm going to tap into the MAGA brain that I fucking have, because I still have it. I still have that. He's correct here. Everything he's saying is correct, but fucking cringe. Fucking sounds like an AI generated robot talking to nothing. Sounds like some Democrat DEI plant, right? That's what I'm thinking. That's MAGA brain. This is what we're doing, you guys, because this L requires that. So when you're doing this, like, you can't have that. It's got to be realistic, like, content. It's got to be like talking to people. Like Dean with his platform should go and talk with. I will. Fuck it. Right now, go and start talking with the middle class and be like, what do you need the most? What do you need right now? Like, and that's where it needs to happen. This like a written statements, reading them off, like, that is the energy that needs to go, and it needs to stop. Or Trump and the MAGA Trump train are going to continue to steamroll like they just did. Okay. And I love Dean. I'm not shitting on him as a person. I'm not saying he's low quality and he doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's not politically smart. No, I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying his strategy is wrong.
Kamala Harris will not be the next president, and this means that Roe v. Wade will not be restored.
So like, no, like, you've already, like, only people that are already within like the understanding are tuning into this, right? Already people that are already supporting Roe v. Wade and they understand the ramifications of it and how important it is are listening right now. The people that are against it have already tuned out because he sounds like a robot. Okay? I promise you, we're going to get to an atomic fucking level here, and I know how to do it, and I'm going to finally do it. Back to Kamala Harris. But that was my rant. That was my rant. That was my plan. I have more, but that's what I got for now.
A fight for the ideals at the heart of our nation, the ideals that reflect America at our best. That is a fight I will never give up. I will never give up the fight for a future where Americans can pursue their dreams, ambitions, and aspirations, where the women of America have the freedom to make decisions about their own body and not have their government telling them what to do. We will never give up the fight to protect our schools and our streets from gun violence. And America, we will never give up the fight for our democracy, for the rule of law, for equal justice, and for the sacred idea that every one of us, no matter who we are or where we start out, has certain fundamental rights and freedoms that must be respected and upheld. And we will continue to wage this fight in the voting booth.
And if anything, too, the fact is Americans, the majority of Americans will only vote based upon what directly affects them within their immediate bubble, too. That's why I'm saying if you're against this, with what you support, and if you do support the freedom of women to choose, obviously, which the majority of the country does, but because of the propaganda and the media manipulation that's been taking place and it will continue, it's not going to stop. That's why I'm saying you can't like hope and seethe about it, about how MAGA got the win. But it's like there's gonna have to be a serious effort there to just talk with people that only can deal with their immediate circle on how, you know, maybe how this could down the line affect themselves. That's what needs to happen. You know what I mean? Like, because I was seeing the majority of comments, even from people it was throwing me off from like 2020. I mean, people that were out there, even in the Black Lives Matter protesters, were like did not vote for, or people that had platforms like they were supporting Trump, and it was because I can't afford groceries right now. The fuck, I care about abortions, and I'm like, damn, like it needs, and that tells me that because it will not affect this person, or like they don't think it will affect them, therefore they do not care. And then if the response to that is, well, you should care. Well, you should care. You're not caring about your own self-interests. Then that American will go, what the fuck do you know about my own self-interests? Who are you to tell me about what I'm interested in? And then that's how it goes. And then they go and vote for Trump. Okay. It's a whole strategy change. Yeah. It has to be like how it will affect them in their future or their kids' future. But even then it can't be like talking down. It's got to be like a normal conversation or like a normal time where you get them to, like, a lot of the like Adam Mockler's content, he was a good one before, where he'd like sit and go and talk to MAGAs and like kind of get them thinking about like, you know, damn, why do I think this? Specifically that guy about Ukraine and how it actually is in America's interest to support Ukraine, but because that guy was consuming other information that was telling him that supporting Ukraine is like some proxy war NATO nonsense, he was actually able to think, oh damn, maybe this will affect me if I down the line, it will affect my family. And that's how Americans change. It's not just wishful thinking and like, oh, you know, this is great for your neighbor. Americans don't vote on what's best for their neighbor. There's a good amount that will, right? I'm not saying that nobody does. And Harris still had 68 million votes now. Okay, that's still a lot of people that want that. But there's still a lot of voters that didn't even vote this time. There's still a lot of people that didn't even vote at all, then don't vote. And again, the population of the United States is 334 million. This isn't even half, but combined between Harris and Trump. Okay, that's a lot of people that think that, oh, fuck this. This isn't even going to matter. That's why Harris had even more votes that's why Joe Biden had more votes in 2020, because it was directly affecting people. because of the end of Trump's presidency. People were feeling that. Remember that. If they can't feel it, they don't give a fuck about it. That is just how Americans are.
In the courts and in the public square. And we will also wage it in quieter ways, in how we live our lives, by treating one another with kindness and respect, by looking in the face of a stranger and seeing a neighbor, by always using our strength to lift people up, to fight for the dignity that all people deserve. The fight for our freedom will take hard work, but like I always say, we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work can be joyful work. And the fight for our country is always worth it. It is always worth it. To the young people who are watching, it is... To the young people who are watching, it is okay to feel sad and disappointed, but please know it's going to be okay. On the campaign, I would often say, when we fight, we win.
Yeah, she can, but she's not going to, and that would be an L if she did.
But here's the thing. Sometimes the fight takes a while. That doesn't mean we won't win. That doesn't mean we won't win. The important thing is don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. Don't ever stop trying to make the world a better place. You have power. You have power. And don't you ever listen when anyone tells you something is impossible because it has never been done before. You have the capacity to do extraordinary good in the world. And so to everyone who is watching, do not despair. This is not a time to throw up our hands. This is a time to roll up our sleeves. This is a time to organize, to mobilize, and to stay engaged for the sake of freedom and justice and the future that we all know we can build together. Look, many of you know I started out as a prosecutor, and throughout my career, I saw people at some of the worst times in their lives. People who had suffered great harm and great pain, and yet found within themselves the strength and the courage and the resolve to take the stand, to take a stand, to fight for justice, to fight for themselves, to fight for others. So let their courage be our inspiration. Let their determination be our charge. And I'll close with this. There's an adage an historian once called a law of history, true of every society across the ages. The adage is, only when it is dark enough can you see the stars. I know many people feel like we are entering a dark time, but for the benefit of us all, I hope that is not the case. But here's the thing, America, if it is, let us fill the sky with the light of a brilliant, brilliant billion of stars. The light of...
Good message, but cringe. All right, I'm telling you, I'm gonna be so fucking. I mean, if you support, I supported Kamala Harris. Can't tell me I didn't support Kamala Harris. Okay, good message, but that's cringe. Okay, that's the type of shit I'm talking about. That is what I'm referring to. That needs to stop to win the 2026 midterms.
Optimism, of faith, of truth, and service. HU. And may that work guide us, even in the face of setbacks, toward the extraordinary promise of the United States of America. I thank you all. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. I thank you all.
Vice President Kamala Harris.
So again, nothing wrong with the message at all. That's I loved her vision for the United States, and the campaign was a clean campaign. Tim Walz was a great choice in my opinion. I do love him as the governor, but the connection to middle class died. It's like moreover than not, multiple times during this time that we've been in since Biden announced that he was dropping off. And messaging needs to astronomically change. The status quo of what's been comfortable to support a left-leaning or an opposing candidate to Donald Trump is going to change. It is going to change, and that stuff like it's just not going to connect with the majority of Americans. Joe Biden made an address today.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Please. Thank you. Good to see this cabinet and the staff together here. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's good to see you all.
Okay, the arguments about what I'm doing also should change then. I've been covering this for I've been covering geopolitics and politics and war for 2 years. While CNN will be one of my sources when there's an exclusive article, I literally stream myself every day for hours every day using multiple sources from left-wing and right-wing sources, always. People get mad when I'm using because Fox News has exclusives sometimes. We've even had Ryan Macbeth on Newsmax give a take one time, and we reacted to that one. I've literally watched Russian state media and reacted to that. So anyone that's like, you need to stop watching CNN, bro, you're getting what the fuck? You're on my goddamn YouTube channel right now. Why don't you think about it for a second?
Particularly good to see my granddaughter sitting in the front row here. Hi, Finn. How are you, honey? For over 200 years, America has carried on the greatest experiment in self-government in the history of the world. And that's not hyperbole, that's a fact. We're the people. The people vote and choose their own leaders, and they do it peacefully. And we're in a democracy. The will of the people always prevails. Yesterday, I spoke with President-elect Trump to congratulate him on his victory. And I assured him that I'd direct my entire administration to work with his team to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition. That's what the American people deserve. Yesterday, I also spoke with Vice President Harris. She's been a partner and a public servant. She ran an inspiring campaign, and everyone got to see something that I learned early on to respect so much, her character. She has a backbone like a ramrod. She has great character, true character. She gave her whole heart and effort, and she and her entire team should be proud of the campaign they ran. You know, the struggle for the soul of America, since our very founding, has always been an ongoing debate and still vital today.
Well, that's why we're the best country in the world. That's why the country, I mean, you might not feel like that right now, obviously, I understand those feelings, but it's still just a fact. Okay, that's why we're the number one, because what America's decisions are affect the rest of the world. Still true. Bad, in my opinion, right now. But however, the principle of the fact is it does affect the rest of the world, and it still will. That's why many of our enemy countries, for example, or countries that want to destroy the United States, are pretty excited about this time frame right now because they know America is like the number one out here. When you're the number one, you got the target on your back. You got the people are going to want to try to get some of that power and take it from the United States of America. And we do have freedom to do all this. Like in any other place, you know, in many other countries that do not like non-Western countries, like Russia, for example, which unfortunately has done a lot to manipulate Americans, and that's got to switch. That's got to change, and that will only change if Americans start again connecting with Americans. You can't be wishful thinking. You can't be like, oh, I really hope Russia stops. Oh, I hope the Department of Justice really just cracks down on this. Like, yeah, for sure. But also, if there's no Americans influencing Americans, then what the you know what I mean? Like, what the hell? Like, you're kind of in an L regardless. So, there's a lot of work to be done.
I know for some people, it's a time for victory, to state the obvious.
Yeah, China too, for sure. China too. China's trying to invade Taiwan. That's not going to be good. That'll give China an upper hand. That'll give them more power and the wish to try to send a weather balloon over the United States again. That would kind of suck, right?
For others, it's a time of loss. Campaigns are contests of competing visions. The country chooses one or the other. We accept the choice the country made.
How do you go from conservative to far left? Kamala Harris was not the far left candidate. Jill Stein was. Did you see me supporting Jill Stein? Did you see me? Like, I don't understand that at all. I think like a lot. That's the other reason why I think if you're liberal, connecting with the middle class is going to be very important to do, because their idea of like anybody left of them is a far leftist. I have been them literally. The far left stopped following me. They used to spray paint me. They used to tear gas, put pepper spray in my face because I wasn't like I wasn't one of them. I wasn't in their in crowd. They're a little anarchist crowd, okay, which I'll never be. But I was like doing my own thing. I'm like, yeah, you can say what you got to say and your freedom to protest and freedom of speech. Hell yeah, I support that. But like, you're not gonna tell me what I can film and can't film now. That's my freedom of the press. Hey, we're in the street right now. I know you got your little black bloc anarchist outfit on and your cute little umbrella and shit. But listen, what you do is what you do. I'm out here too. Fuck you mean. So your idea of like what somebody on the far left is, I'm hoping that can change over time too.
I've said many times.
The idea that you think Kamala is far left to me is just comical. She ran as, if anything, a more centrist right-wing candidate this time.
The country
That's the effect of the right-wing media, the manipulation into thinking that she's like some far left. It's wild to me. That's why I have had more time to examine the political spectrum. I've also interviewed people from different ends of the political spectrum. You know how I even know Kamala Harris is not far left? Because I've gone to far left rallies. I've gone to actual communist and actual Marxist rallies being held, because they do exist. I've gone to far right rallies, actual ones, Proud Boys and 3%er rallies. I've gone to those. I know what they're like in person, IRL, and what they stand for. Kamala Harris is not that whatsoever. She's not a Marxist or communist or any of that nonsense bullshit. But again, that's the fault of people that wanted to support Kamala Harris, I guess, that didn't do a good job of connecting with the middle class to fight against this message. But that's okay. I'm telling you, I understand the mission.
One or the other. We accept the choice the country made. I've said many times.
She is not far left of the center either.
You can't love your country only when you win. You can't love your neighbor only when you agree. Something I hope we can do, no matter who you voted for, is see each other not as adversaries, but as fellow Americans. Bring down the temperature. I also hope we can lay to rest the question about the integrity of the American electoral system. It is honest, it is fair, and it is transparent.
And I also, there's obviously anger and people are upset at the results for sure. But there's also an energy of, you know what? Fuck it. Let him do it. He's in control now. Let the country, let those that wanted to support him for the third time now, let the chips fall where they may. That's why my message isn't about being upset about she lost. My message is how we're going to defeat this in 2026. A lot of it is going to be internally inside of Trump's camp and Trump's campaign and administration. There will be increased protests while Trump is president for I mean, it did happen at the end of 2020. The far left have already started. The actual far left, those that were out there protesting against Kamala Harris, which she did. That's why it's so wild. Like, how can you, like, Nugs Money, for example? I know you were watching my Chicago protest content, and I know you were seeing the fuck Harris, fuck Biden signs from that crowd. Okay, I know you saw it. I know you were in the chat. I know you watched my Trump rally that I went to in the XL Energy Center when both the Gaza protesters and the Trump supporters were both engaged in, yeah, fuck Biden, fuck Biden. Oh, we're cool. We're friends now. Okay. Of course, they're going to be like, oh, now we got the liberals are going to be upset. They're going to come out and protest with us now because they're going to be upset at Trump. Of course. Like, yes, that is definitely going to happen, but it needs to be more of a focused message. It needs to be more of a focused message. And the extreme of that can't lead either. The extreme of that, it needs to be a populist, but it can't be somebody that's like some black bloc anarchist extremist that's just going to continue the other nonsense, because there's people that can do non-politically correct things in progressivism and the far and further left, but it can't get to a point where it's fucking cringe. Like when the Black Lives Matter movement stopped, for example, and that Black Lives Matter movement, the last protest was actually in Michigan. And by the end of this Black Lives Matter protest, there were motherfuckers talking about gardening and having school funded programs so the kids can learn how to plant vegetables. And then I'm just like, what the fuck? This has nothing to do with African Americans and police brutality and the effect of that. That has nothing to do with this. And that was the focus of the Black Lives Matter movement, obviously. And it delved into nothing. So there needs to be like a clear message, right? And that's going to actually connect with people that vote.
And it can be trusted, win or lose. I also hope we can restore the respect for all our election workers who busted their necks and took risks at the outset. We should thank them. Thank them for staffing voting sites, counting the votes, and protecting the very integrity of the election. Many of them are volunteers who do it simply out of love for their country. And as they did their duty as citizens, I will do my duty as president. I'll fulfill my oath, and I will honor the Constitution. On January 20th, we'll have a peaceful transfer of power here in America. To all our incredible staff, supporters, cabinet members, all the people who've been hanging out with me for the last 4 years, God love you, as my mother would say. Thank you so much. You put so much into the past 4 years. I know it's a difficult time. You're hurting. I hear you and I see you. But don't forget all that we accomplished. It's been a historic presidency. Not because I'm president, because what we've done, what you've done. A presidency for all Americans. Much of the work we've done is already being felt by the American people, but the vast majority of it will not be felt over the next 10 years. We have legislation we passed. It's just only now just really.
And that's the other mindset too. People in that support Trump think that the things happen quickly. Like it's like instant gratification, as if like I even saw unironic posts from Trump supporters on Facebook that were like, "Why are gas prices not down yet?" I'm like, bro, what? And then some other, again, common sense MAGAs were like, well, things aren't going to happen quickly. He's not even the president yet. Like, but I know, but he promised, though. The war in Ukraine was supposed to end in 24 hours too, and we're like past that time too. But things do not happen quick, especially in the American government, right? The economy turning around. It's been turning around. Inflation has been going down. We will always have inflation. That is going to be what the MAGAs tell you too. They're going to tell you, well, we always have inflation, because it's not going to leave. And I know the campaign messaging and what Trump was telling you was that and they're going to eliminate inflation. No, there will always be inflation there, but the inflation was going down. We had high levels of inflation after COVID when people were at home. People weren't working. People weren't spending money. People were fear and they were scared and not leaving the house. It was crazy. I don't know how how people don't remember 2020. It was only 4 years ago. Maybe it's because it transformed my life completely, right? Maybe it's because, again, it directly impacted me personally. I have a social media platform, an amazing YouTube channel and audience now. But like, I don't forget that time whatsoever. And that had ramifications on our economy. It just does. It's common sense, right? So that takes a while to fix and to come back. So the Biden, even after Trump's presidency, if Trump, again, you got to hope for the best. If Trump can, or if somebody talks him out of these fucking tariffs or whatever, if he can continue to improve the economy, then yeah, fine, sure, go ahead, whatever. But it's already been on a course to improve, just like when Obama was president and he had to pull us out of the recession from Bush and the recession we were in then. And he did. And we had a great economy going into Trump. And then Trump spent a fuckload of money. That wasn't the best decision, but like the economy didn't falter towards the end, obviously. And then COVID happened and shut the world down. The world economy stopped. Money stopped moving. What happens when money stops moving? It has a ripple effect down, especially money on the stock market and others. It's going to affect us. It sucks, but it does. That's why people do invest in that. That's why a lot of people are switching to crypto now. A lot of people are investing in cryptocurrency and EFTs because like the reality of those stocks, right? You don't dude, it's going to affect you, right? Whereas like crypto, you kind of have more of, you can see the blockchain and, you know, you feel like you can have a little bit more control over that. And it's decentralized, right? So a lot of people are supporting that Web3 movement.
Taken in. We're going to see over $1 trillion worth of infrastructure work done, changing people's lives in rural communities and communities that are in real difficulty because it takes time to get it done. And so much more. It's going to take time, but it's there. The road ahead is clear, assuming we sustain it.
No, Buzzy, Ben, he's not sworn in yet. That's just how he talks, but your brain can't. So, like, why do we? So, are you admitting to Trump's able to like manipulate you into a vote then? Because he told you that it would happen, right? I mean, I hold Kamala Harris to her words and who I was supporting and what she would say and do. I don't know. That's why, again, more work just needs to happen. It can't be wishful thinking. It can't be hope. If I start saying I hope, that's an L. That's an L because that's what happened here. It needs to be actual on the ground work. So it needs to be transformational content because that's what they need. And people need that. They need to watch because we're in a money-making world right now. It's pretty intense and hectic, but it needs to be TikToks or whatever connecting with the lower and middle and lower middle class Americans and asking them how they're doing. I think it's just going to be direct on the ground engagement over these next 4 years and keep them involved. Keep them involved. That's the one thing I do like about my platform specifically and why Mercado Media is so great is because no matter what side of the aisle you're on here on Mercado Media, at least you get mostly like direct engagement, like the war in Ukraine. If you've been watching my coverage for 2 years, I went to Ukraine. You got like on the ground perspective of what Ukraine looked like. You ain't getting that from many others. Yeah, I mean, maybe, but not necessarily. And the space has always still been for everybody. My community always has been. I have MAGAs and right winger or far leftists still watch. They hated me for not covering Israel Gaza. Obviously, I know you did, but they still watch, right? Or they still will tune in. It's a community for everyone. And regardless of how I feel, I'm going to get you you're going to find out what the hell is going on. You're going to know what's happening on the ground. And that needs to happen again. We need to go back to that. I mean, I didn't stop doing it, but a lot of my content has been not American centric content. It's been geopolitical, which I still feel it's going to affect Americans, but it needs to be the inverse. I need to flip that back to what I was doing. To like, yes, America, like not the cringe fascist America first, but like American centric messaging, care about Americans and say, hey, you know, the things are going well right now for you, or maybe it's not. Talk about global national security. I don't know, through conversation. But maybe you get down the line and you're like, man, how do you feel about the world right now and what's going on? Oh man, it's crazy out there, man. I don't know what to. That's like how the average conversation with people that go like it's not so. And that's why whenever I'm like socializing with people, I don't really talk a whole lot because I know that the quality of the conversation is going to be small talk, and I hate small talk. I can't stand it. So, but I understand that. So whenever I'm out with people, I'm usually just kind of like quiet, or I'm just like chilling, like people watching or whatever, because the conversations I want to have and then I'm going to get into is probably going to turn a lot of people off because they're not. And it's just because I get to spend hours a day watching this shit. I know I'm very educated on Ukraine. So because I'm very educated on Ukraine, somebody that isn't, that's like, damn, it's crazy over there. Lots happening, you know, and I'm like, damn, yeah, for sure. The geopolitical threat of Russia and the increasing of the soldiers from North Korea going into Ukraine is going to cause a ripple effect for them. And like, they're like, whoa, I'm sorry. I don't, you know, you know, way more than I do. Yeah, for sure. You're right, bud. You got it. You know, that's how it goes in the United States. So again, it's just got to be more. I feel like for the midterms, which are coming up in 2 years, like, yeah, 4 years, but like the opportunity to try to stop Trump's plan, I guess, or Trump's lack. I don't know. That's why I didn't support it, because it was like kind of a gray area here. I don't know. To stop this, you got to win. We got to have to win the midterms first and get that back and get the Senate and the House back. But it's still got to be grassroots, like, and that's the grassroots effort I was talking about. Michelle was like, yeah, I think Michelle in the chat earlier said grassroots efforts are going to be still very important to do. And yes, but these are the grassroots efforts I'm talking about, and they can't be politically correct. Like, for example, Latinx. I'm Mexican. Latinx is so fucking cringe. Oh my fucking God, kill that. For example, like how to describe people that are Latin or people that are from Mexico. That's one of the examples. Dead. Please stop. Like that type of shit. These like cringy. I know, and then the principle is for inclusion. It's the heart behind it is sincere. I get it. It is. How you're trying to include everybody into it, but that is not gonna work. That doesn't work. It's got to stop. They're what they are. They're Cuban or they're Puerto Rican or Mexican, like where I come from. Okay, that's what the individual is, or even that. But they're American. But they'll tell you what they're. Hey, you're American. Where are you from? I'm from Minnesota. Oh, really? I'm from this place. My parents are from Germany or whatever. Oh yeah, my parents are from here. Okay, that's how you talk to somebody. Or whatever, like that's how you could find out their background or like their racial background or whatever. Like that, it needs to just stop. All of it. That needs to stop now. Populism and cringe ass bullshit like that need to stop, and then we'll have a better path forward here.
There's so much we can get done and will get done based on the way the legislation was passed. And it's truly historic. You know, we're leaving behind the strongest economy in the world. I know people are still hurting, but things are changing rapidly. Together, we've changed America for the better. Now we have 74 days to finish the term, our term. Let's make every day count. That's the responsibility we have to the American people. Look, folks, you all know it in your lives. Setbacks are unavoidable. But giving up is unforgivable.
Can't do it.
Setbacks are unavoidable, but giving up is unforgivable. We all get knocked down. But the measure of our character, as my dad would say,
how many times you get back up? Yep, exactly.
Remember.
That's right. And Joe Biden's going to remember it as a good president in history. He is going to be.
Does not mean we are defeated.
I supported Joe Biden, his re-election campaign that he announced. I was like, okay, Biden's going to run again. I was going to go with whoever had the best chance to defeat Trump. And I guess that proves I'm not going to support one individual. I'm not going to be loyal to one person. Okay. I'm going to go with the best opportunity to win. Okay. Now that needs to be the mindset. That needs to be the mindset. I mean, that already is. That's the advantage, I guess, of those that voted against Trump, is that, I mean, even the Jill Stein voters, for example, like they weren't held down to, even this, Jill Stein voters, you weren't held down to the principle of, well, I'm left leaning, I must vote Democrat, so therefore I have to vote Kamala. No, you went against the grain, you voted for Jill Stein. Okay. But even just in general, I feel like a lot of Democrat people on the left aren't connected to one single individual. Like they're not going to like, damn, like you will not see Capitol riots because Harris lost. Like you won't see anything. You'll see maybe some women's marches. That again, a lot, and I think a lot of the protest energy is going to be stifled right now because a lot of people that are liberals are going to be upset at this like activist group that didn't do as much as they could have to try to defeat Trump, right? Because they were out there protesting and marching, and then when it came to trying to defeat this for their human rights, where were they? Where were they? Now they want to be out there because Trump won, right? So, and a lot of liberals understand this. So there is going to be a lot of stifling to the protests. I don't think there will be protests or any type of pushback to this until it directly starts affecting Americans and we start seeing it, which is what it took for the last election. The last administration. It wasn't quick. It happened at the end, right? And then, but now a lot of Americans remember that, but also a lot of Americans will not change how they feel or will not like look inward until it personally affects them. And that is the fact. It's an unfortunate fact, but it just is what it is.
We lost this battle. The America of your dreams is calling for you to get back up. That's the story of America for over 240 years and counting. It's a story for all of us, not just some of us. The American experiment endures. We're going to be okay, but we need to stay engaged. We need to keep going. And above all, we need to keep the faith. I'm so proud to have worked with all of you. I really mean it. I sincerely mean it. God bless you all. God bless America. And may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You think Josh Shapiro would have beat Trump with a loss like this? I don't know. With the loss like we saw of the popular vote, the Senate, all of it, like I mentioned earlier, it was too little too late. It was the campaign, again, Harris and Walz ran a clean, motivating vision, in my opinion, vision, but it was too little too late. It was years and years and years already. Like the right-wing media got off on the ground fast right away. As soon as they never stopped. Understand that, chat. The right-wing media didn't stop. Trump actually won, and Trump didn't lose the 2020 election, and it hasn't stopped. They have been going nonstop, and then the rise of Andrew Tate and again others too that have happened through these 4 years. It's been 4 straight years of messaging and propaganda. And then when you have a candidate that's going to go against that in only 100 and some days, I think the stacks are already it was already stack high. But then Kamala Harris, I mean, America proved that they don't want to elect a woman as president. That is not what's going to happen. Hillary took an L, but how does Kamala take an even bigger L, right? So those are things just to think on. Maybe someday America will be ready for a woman to be president, and I'm hoping for that. I mean, I proved everything. I have no problem supporting a woman for president. I hope that does happen. But America also proved that that is not on the cards. Not even that. It's identity politics, and I know Trump and MAGA play all that shit too, and I get it. But in order to beat that, you gotta be better. It sounds so cringe because I was told that against the enforcer for 2 years, and you guys were like, "You need to be better than him," and I was like, "No, fuck you." No. If anything, too, like the strategy for Trump is just going to be to show the bad and leave it at that. Show the bad and leave it at that. Maybe have a react to it, but like don't. This is so for example, kind of how I'm doing enforcer content now, right? Like I'll show you guys what he's saying, be like, dang, that's kind of cringe, and then leave it at that. That's all we're gonna have to do. That's all you got to do. You don't have to be. Listen, try to protect your mental health too. You've already had a rough 2016 to 2020. You know how it's gonna go, right? That's the resiliency of it. That's you understanding. Damn, this is gonna be bad, But you don't. If anything, you can maybe you'll find comfort in that you're already mentally prepared, I guess. Okay, and then with how to show the lies that are gonna happen here is by just showing them and then leaving it at that and saying, nah, I don't know, that's kind of weird, right? That was effective, actually. The weird thing was effective because there was nuance in it. It wasn't targeting. It wasn't saying you are specifically weird. It was like, that's weird, right? Or like that energy is kind of weird. And it did like make people look into that. Like, dang, like why is, but that's all it needs to happen in my opinion. And that's what I'm going to be doing too. Like when I do, because on this platform, I'm going to be covering this Trump presidency. I'm telling you right now, we're switching from geopolitics and covering Ukraine every single day. I love Ukraine. I'm gonna do everything I can to continue to support its fight in the best way I can, but I'm going to be focused on America. I'm going to be focused on the United States, and I'm not going to be some cringe leftist that's like crying about every single thing Trump says, or like oh, Trump was mean today. He's mean. Trump is mean. Okay, obviously. So it's gonna be, damn, this is Trump's lie. He promised you this. He promised you this. Did he deliver this? Simple. Did he or did he not? And then it'll be up to that person to be like, damn, like he said he was gonna do this and it didn't happen. Shit. Oh man, I guess Mercado's right there. Yeah, anyways, Kamala won, or sorry, Kamala lost, Trump won, fuck him. Right? But over time that'll atrophy and they'll have nothing to say after a while. And then because of how I know the last Trump presidency went, I can only envision it being worse now. It's not gonna be better than what it was. So I think just the implications of Trump being the president again itself will, like, unfortunately have a ripple effect in American voters. And again, with that, it's going to be up to people that are opposed to this to get people that are registered to vote. And I didn't do enough of that this time. That's something I could have did better. And I did 0 voter registration drives. 0 of that. I posted how I felt, but I didn't do any community engagement. I did nothing. I did 0 voter engagement. I tried to, but it wasn't enough because I'd been covering Ukraine for 2 years, and then I come back here in the last 6 months and I was behind already. I was already behind, but I'm not going to be behind going into this. We're not going to be behind. I'm telling you exactly what we're going to do. So no, if you want to watch my content and you know that I don't like Trump, I'm still going to cover Trump. Obviously, like I watched his speeches, his campaign events, his campaign rallies. That was like, it was pain to get through, but I mean, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to react to him. I'm just going to sit here and be like, oh, that's kind of weird or whatever. Maybe if he says, or maybe he does something correct, then you get to hear it. And you get to hear Trump do a good, or Trump do a good thing, because I'll cover that too. But this is a fat L. Okay, this is a fat freaking L here. 295, which I think it's even higher than that now. I think it's in like 306 or something. And the only way to come back from this, and the only way to undo this is not to point the finger, not to say, oh, it's this, like I'm seeing on Twitter, like people are actually blaming Latino voters for voting for Trump. And I get it. I understand the energy there, but that's not gonna work to win. Now you want to win, I got the strategy to win, and it's not gonna be good for your feelings. Like it's not gonna be a 2011, let's call it like a 2011 to 2020, because even for the last 4 years, I think the political correctness has kind of been atrophied, even from leftists. Like it's still, the people still kind of want it there, some, but most are kind of over it in general. Even people that are on the left, but that 2011-ish era to 2020 era of like social media political correctness, and you have to say this and do this, and that's all across the board has to stop. Or Democrats will never win again, or people that are left leaning will never win again. Because progressives have no problem, or people that are further left have no problem being non-politically correct. I'll go out there and fucking, I'm not saying you go out there and start being like an anarchist. That's fucking crazy, and you'll face the full force of the law if you start doing that type shit. But there's ways to use your voice and connect with others in community, and we'll have to start doing that, which is no problem. It's the same strat. It's like, if anything, thank you, Enforcer and Enforcer community, the LSA, and to teaching me how to understand that, you know, this is an immovable toxic force, and no matter what I say or do, it's not going to stop. However, I can welcome them into my community and start molding them and start shaping them into something different. And now I have comments on that. Yeah, I used to watch Enforcer. I used to watch that Enforcer channel, and I can't believe the stuff he was saying. And that's how it's got to be for that energy in general. That's how it's going to have to be for Trump too. And it sucks, and it's work I'm ready for. If you're not ready for that, I understand. Take your time you got to take, but there's no way we can stop now. There's just no way, especially if you do care about Ukraine, or you do care about other places around the world, and you do care about like this shit. I get it for sure, but that's not going to win votes. That's not going to win here. No, those memes aren't going to do anything. What is that going to do? It's going to validate what the Latinos voted for, I think, probably through their own media. So they're going to be like, oh, this meme here on social media, and then they're going to go and watch Aiden Ross tonight. Got to be a whole transformative change. It's going to have to be progressive, populist, non-politically correct. that connects with the middle class. And that is 100% possible because the right wing sold a facade of that and won this time. They sold a facade of that and won off of anti-war, more middle class and lower middle class message, and they won with that. So that's the blueprint. And now it's going to have to be to not inject identity politics into that, but to have a more of a broad welcoming to more extremist viewpoints. Okay, because that's the only way you're going to pull them out of this. Even if you are on the left and you want maybe say like, for example, you voted for Kamala Harris and you weren't appreciative of like Hassan, for example, like the streamer Hassan, or like people that are like within his community, because they're a little bit more, they're way more militant, they're way more left, and honestly a lot of them sounded like right wingers by the end of this, like very fascist, very anti-Semitic, you know, very not very good at all, right? But those people have good, and they have a good foundation, right? They have a good core, they have values, they care about others at least, right? And in order to bring them out of this extremist, like, fucking, I'm going to go light myself on fire nonsense, okay, you're going to have to bring them to a more sensible community. And that's what you also have to do from the right wing, because they're heavy there. They're heavy now. But I feel like a lot of people there also voted because groceries, because of what affects them directly in front of them, and not the global geopolitical threats that are happening, which that is happening. And that's up to people like me or you that grasp that, to balance it both, to balance, hey, you know, it's important to connect with Americans and ask how they're doing, ask how they're feeling. Why can you know, hey, can you afford groceries? Oh, maybe even like the best thing I've been able to connect with is just asking like, because a lot of the right-wing media manipulation has kind of taken the control out of the person. And like a lot of the attention is focused on, well, Trump can fix it. Oh, you know, I can't afford eggs, and the only person that can fix this situation is Donald Trump. It's up to people, it's up to others that are against Trump to tell this person, like, you know, it's actually up to you. You know, it's actually up to you. While the president can try to, like, well, that's why I supported Kamala Harris, is price gouging, for example. Because then the government can tell these corporations, like, hey, you can't charge Americans this much for this amount of money. Okay. But also there's maybe some areas where budgeting could come into play. And that's come from someone who's terrible with money. I'm fucking dog shit with money. I'm literally thinking of that interview from The Good Liars that we watched, where they were talking to a guy and he's like, man, these groceries are really expensive, but he's running his F-250 diesel truck, like, or not even diesel, I think maybe it was a Power Stroke, I don't know, but he's just like letting it run. You know what I mean? Like, just things that I was taught raising, like that I was taught growing up. You know, bring it back to core values, I guess, that everybody can, like, that's common sense, right? Oh, you can't afford things, but you're running your vehicle over there that costs you how much a month, right? It's things like that. And that isn't talking down to somebody, or that isn't calling them stupid, or saying, damn, you're really freaking dumb for running your vehicle while complaining that you can't afford groceries. It's just like asking them those questions, just laying it, just giving it to them, and letting that individual be like, damn, am I making a dumb decision by running my truck right now, and gas costs so much money? I shouldn't be doing that. It's made me think, like, I'm cooking food at home. I used to DoorDash all the goddamn time. I used to DoorDash myself food every day. I haven't done that in weeks now. I haven't done that. I've been cooking. I've been going to the grocery store, actually. I've been changing how I've been working here so I can make more food at home and then eat leftovers, because that's what my parents did when I was a kid. Nothing's changed. It's still America. It's still capitalism. Shit's cost money. Corporations want to make money, a fuckload of it, and they're going to do everything they can to continue making more and continue to outpace the rest of us. That is their goal. And so understanding that, that's why I support politicians that are going to try to fight against that. But it's also up to us as individuals to balance our budgets. And we can't afford some things sometimes. We can't do some things sometimes, or what have you. And that's how I was raised. That's how I was raised. Oh, Dad, I want to go to Vegas with my friends because they're going and it's going to be great. Did you save money for it? Did you save for it? Do you have money for that? I don't have money. Money doesn't grow on trees, Andrew. Damn, I can't go with my friends to Vegas. You know, like that's just how I was raised. And I wish that a lot of people had that mindset again, or at least would teach it again. I don't know where that went. It turned into just one person or the government will do it all for me. Oh, it's wild. One person will fix it, or the government will do it for me. And there's kind of less attention on the personal choice there, and what you can do in your own capacity to change the outcome of your day, or to change the trajectory that you are on personally as a person. You have a lot of power over that, like a fuckload of power over that. Actually, one could argue you have like 95% of the power over that, and like 5% of what happens is out of your control. That's the serenity prayer. Any religious people in the chat? I have the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Okay, have that wisdom to know the difference of the things that you can change and the things that fuck, it's there. I used to have to say that thing every day. What is the serenity prayer? The serenity prayer. Here's a good one. Good resilience. I just have to say this thing every day. Give us the serenity to accept the things that cannot be changed, the courage to change the things that can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I'm gonna say that every single day. And in 2019, when I was in treatment before 2020, but I haven't had to say it in a while, as I found other healthy recovery activities to be in, like this community, right? And the reason why I can talk about like leaving a toxic community and leaving like a toxic past or lifestyle is because I've done that. Like, again, like I mentioned, well, last time Trump was president, and that entire presidency, I was in my early 20s. I was in my early 20s for that one, and it was a very dark time. Like, I was making very, very bad personal decisions that were harming myself personally, but also the people around me. My parents weren't very happy with having to, make sure there's money in my bank account because I was spending all of it on cocaine, right? My parents weren't very happy that I was still 22 years old at the time, or 23, but still living at home. Like, they were like, damn, I raised you to be better. I raised you to be living on your own by now. What the fuck, right? I was not doing any of that. Now here I am, after taking time and dedicating like a year of my life to recovery and becoming I guess, different person. It was work. It took a whole year, and I'm still working on it. It wasn't fast. It wasn't instant gratification. It wasn't like, again, my parents really wanted me to just like change overnight. They're like, you will unaddict you. May the power of Christ unaddict you right now. Like, that's what they wanted in the worst way. And I wanted that too, to be honest. By the end of that time, I was like, damn, is there a cure for this? This sucks. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. But the cure was the hard work that I put into it. The cure was the amount of time that I dedicated to this. I mean, I lived in a sober house. There's no, I couldn't even have a cigarette. You could have cigarettes in the second one, but in the first one, you couldn't even have nicotine there, because nicotine is a powerful drug. True. Facts. So I couldn't even have that there. But I went to treatment. I spent hours and hours in programs, community groups, softball recovery leagues. So I played softball for like 4 years with only people in recovery. And I love softball, but I only played in a sober league. I didn't play in any other leagues. So I dedicated a lot of time to changing like my core values and who I am. And again, it wasn't fast, and it had to happen from myself. Nobody could tell me. Nobody, my parents, nobody could be like, you need to stop doing this. You need to stop. Oh, it's gonna affect your future. Hey, no, I didn't care. I wanted instant gratification. I wanted to feel better in the moment. So it took what personally affected me to changing. It took something that was personally affecting me. And again, I was like homeless. I still remember sleeping in my truck, my old truck, like in the back seat of it, just to do through a night. I slept on a park bench because I was too embarrassed to like, hey, mom and dad, I don't have anywhere to stay tonight. Can I come stay with you? I slept on a park bench instead because I fucking didn't want to deal with that. Okay. But I'm telling you this because it took me like a year, and there's still work to do. Like, I'm not there yet. Like, if anything, I have more therapy to go through now based upon war and the riots and all of the chaos for these past like 4 years plus. Like, if anything, I got to start that like now to get ready for these next 4 years, and I'm ready for that. But it's something I'm trying to tell you, that in order, like, for someone like me who was outwardly MAGA, I was outwardly supportive of Trump in 2016, 2015. Like I had a MAGA hat. I had all this cringe shit. I had to change who I was as a person. And nobody can tell you how to change. Nobody is going to tell you that you need to, hey, you're a piece of shit, you're garbage. You know, you're not gonna make it out here. Yeah, I am garbage. I'm not gonna make it out here. Fuck yeah. Line. That's not gonna push people. It's gotta have to be like connecting with them personally. And like, I guess what did bring me into treatment was like finally connecting with others that were in treatment for like years, or like they've been doing this for a long time. And I actually like got a sponsor, and I actually again was engaged with the community within recovery, because I had went to treatment in 2018 because I was struggling the whole first Trump presidency, because I had just got out of the military. I was at the prime age of it. I was at the age of 22 when I got out, so it was literally prime time for like this and what we're about to go through right now. So I was an easy target for it. But it was like I literally couldn't pay bills without asking for money. I literally couldn't get by without like, because all my money went to cocaine, or all my money went to instant gratification. So when the inevitable happens and like groceries start becoming even more, and the cost of living starts skyrocketing for people that are lower middle class, or lower class, middle class might be okay and fine with Trump. Maybe a good section of it won't be, but the ones that have investments will. You know, they're going to be struggling here. And it's not going to be I told you so. Trump is bad. You shouldn't have voted for Trump. It's going to be connecting with them at where they're at. It's going to be connecting with them at the inevitable downfalls here that are going to be happening in this administration, and being like, hey, like, are you okay today? Why can't have you been able to afford your groceries before? Like, what's happening now? What's changed? But like being sincere about it. And like, again, only the changes will happen is if it starts to personally affect this person. And it's going to, just like the last administration did, or the last Trump administration did. It's going to take a lot for people to come out of this, but it's not going to happen with wishful thinking. It's not going to happen with woke, which is, I know, I get it, it's so cringe, but woke, identity politics, gender politics, like that isn't going to work. Even if you do support the more of a left-leaning position on this, which I do, but it can't be what it's been. It's got to be more of a grassroots populist on the ground effort to support the opposite of this, because that's what MAGA did. That's what they did to win. And it was manipulation. And again, you're going to see corporations are already, let me see here, Trump, let me see, I already posted one article on it, but Elon and those billionaires are going to get a fuckload of tax breaks now. And that's not going to trickle down to the middle class. It never does. Never does. But when inevitably the prices are going to go up and it gets tough to afford things, that's going to be the time to like not throw it in their face for Trump being president. It's going to be connecting with them and creating community with them, with individuals that can. I'm sure there's plenty of people in the chat right now that have gone through that and they know what it like. And you have this community, and thankfully we do have this community, and thankfully it's existed for 4 years, because yeah, shit's tough out here. But that's what I'm talking about, is like healthier communities. And they don't, again, not healthy in a politically correct way. And like, I've already advised my mods that we're no longer going to be deleting bad words or even like, for example, my mods have always done great. I think I have one of the best mod teams in all of the internet, to be honest, and they always do excellent. But even just like redirecting chat dialogue, like say, for example, I'm covering Ukraine, and someone in chat goes, it's a proxy war. And then mods will go, hey, you're not saying the right thing. You know, we're not going to even have that anymore, even though it's going to be up to me as the content creator to do the work. It's my job. It's not my mod's job. It's not anyone else's job to tell you what to think or how to feel. It's my job to do a good job laying out the facts, and then you decide on what's true. And that's what it's going to have to be. And that's what it has to return to in order to flip what the fuck happened in this election. Okay. That's what it's going to have to be going into this. And it is going to be a space for everybody. And if you are bigoted towards LGBTQ plus community, that's going to have to be your own internal problem, because I have plenty of individuals in the LGBTQ plus community that are fucking awesome. And you're going to get to see how awesome they are, and all of the nonsense media propaganda that you believed in about this community. You're going to get to see how that's not true. So there will be no bigotry. There's not going to be hatred. You're not going to be able to hate people for that. Okay. You're not going to be able to hate people because that they're different, which is, I guess, why I'm saying I'm welcoming MAGA and others into the community, because can't hate you guys. Again, personally, you don't have to have friends that are MAGA. You don't have to have friends that are Trump supporters. I get it. But in the larger community, overarching community, there's a fuckload of different types of people within it. I'm maintaining that. I am going to maintain that. There's lots of women in my community. I don't have a misogynistic message. I don't hate women. I actually love women. I love having women around. I'm pretty interested in women, to be honest. Okay. I want to keep that a safe environment for them. And if anything, maybe you come from maybe people that are going to have more of a right wing, Andrew Tate mindset about women. Like, that's not going to, I mean, I'm not going to respect that or have that around, but at least you're going to get to engage with women in a healthy environment, because there's a ton of them in the chat right now, and there will be, because again, I'm going to keep it a safe environment for women in my community. But this is going to be others' opportunity to have a healthier, non-toxic environment to actually engage and talk to women, because that also doesn't exist for males from the age of 18 to 29. Doesn't exist unless there is one, which is mine or others that have women in it. Otherwise, they're going to Aiden Ross and they're like just shitting, and I get it, because I come from that. I come from that energy, and it's cringe, because like, dude, I respect my LGBTQ plus community, and I respect what they want to do. I like women. I'm very attracted to women. Women are hot. Okay. Nice. Like, fuck all that. Like, that is facts. Okay. And I want that. And that's the other thing too, is, cringe ass, like things that like men like, things that guys like. Okay. Some guys like guys, which is great. Cool. Respect you for that. But guys like women, and that's okay. That's okay too. Like, you can like women. Okay. And they're very cool. Very, very, very awesome. Okay. We don't have a community here that's going to shit on women, especially if you want to be with a woman. Why would I have a community here that's like, damn, women bad. But yet you're like, damn, I really want to be with a woman someday, and I want to have a child. I want to have kids. I want to have a family. It's not going to work, because you're not going to know how to even engage with a woman. You're going to like go on your date and you'll be like, hi, woman bad. And then the woman's going to go, ick, and then not talk to you. And then you're going to get mad and then go watch Andrew Tate. Okay. So if you want to be with women, this is also the channel to talk to. Not to like fucking Andrew Tate shit. That's not cool, in my opinion. But like, if you want to learn how to talk to a woman and like go on dates, like I can help you. I can help you do that. I mean, I don't have a problem with that over here. I have no problems with that whatsoever. Never have. But I'm just not an outwardly like, that's not how my content is, or like, that's just not how the type of person I am. Like, I don't kiss and tell. I'm not a kiss and tell type person. Like, my personal, you know, love life, or like who I'm interested in, like, that's a very personal thing, right? And that's like me and the individual that are engaged with this. That's not really like something I'm going to go, hey, internet, guess who I slept with last night? Like, that's cringe too. And that's also why I would that. And then when, say, in the future, who would want to sleep with you then if you're like bragging about it? Because then they're going to get blasted for it. Like, what if they don't want to be blasted? What if they want to sleep with you, but keep it on the DL? What if they want friends with benefits, where it's just kind of like, you know, you're working, they're working, and then, you know, you get down to it, which happens all the time. That's such a regular thing, where you have somebody that, you know, you just have friends with benefits with, and then it is what it is. You want that? I got you. Promise you. It's not going to be this misogynistic type bullshit anymore, or at least not mine. It's going to be more welcoming to people that have I don't even know how to put this. I don't even know how to like say this. I'm just removing all political correctness and like all this cringe ass fucking nonsense that has just led us into further fascism, is what I'm saying. And all of this shit is just like we're gonna have our community is gonna continue. It's not gonna have. I'm trying to lay this out because it's in my brain, but like laying it out to you guys, I'm trying to say it so like it's clear. Any questions on like what I've said about the community changes? I guess like any changes about that, like it's just more. I'm not trying to say like just more conversations because that's also cringe, but more meaningful dialogue and interaction, with people that deal with others on a daily basis, or that work that we need to bring into a larger community. Like it can't be like my community cannot be non-inclusive to others. Does that make sense? Like it's not like I'm like, hey, my community is just like inclusionary community. It's not that. It is welcoming to every single person, which also has to include people that are more extreme. Okay. So I know I've crafted this great community and that's not changing, but we have to bring in some people, or at least, engage with others that are a little bit more extreme. And that doesn't mean you have to be friends with them. Like I mentioned, it doesn't mean you have to engage with this person outside of my streams or outside of my content. But in order to make these types of people less extreme and more like a common sense normal person, in my opinion, which MAGA ran on common sense. I don't feel like it was common sense, but I lost. Right? My messaging lost, but that's okay. Common sense, you just got to have community for them. So you're all welcome in my community as always, as everybody always has been. And I'm not going to have, the one thing I'm not going to have in it is harassment, abuse, and misogyny. And racism. That's what I'm not going to have. Okay, I'm not going to have people being racist to each other. Like it's just dumb. It's right. You don't want race, identity politics. I don't want racism. America's doing the weave. Yeah, I'm trying to make sense of like how I'm trying to reshape my community for you guys without like making people mad. If anything, I'm hoping like what I'm saying is actually making people like, oh, this is what I've been looking for, or like, oh, this is something that that appeals to me. Because like I wanted to be a part of this, but like I feel like there's rules or guidelines, or like I have to abide by this and that and this and that. I'm not going to have that anymore. But I'm not going to have people attacking each other. I'm not going to have just hatred of women. Okay, I think that's a core value for any community, to be honest. Even people that are more so on the right wing. Okay, I feel like that's a core value in that community, and it's going to be a core value here. So while you're going to get to have your spicy opinions. You're going to get to have your spicy takes. I don't want people just disrespecting each other. Okay. If anything, let's disrespect the elite. Let's all focus on the elite and focus on the people that are going to be in the power now. Okay. And all we can do now together is just try to work with each other. And it's going to suck. It's going to be rough. It's going to be tough. It may not going to be fun. And you don't have to either. I'm not saying you have to either. But in order to come back from what happened in election night, I feel like these are the things that my community and the things I want to change within it. So now, any questions? Now, do you have any questions? I think I got it out. I know I struggled there for a couple minutes because I was trying to like say the words and I didn't plan it. I don't write words out. I had none of this written or anything, so it's coming to my brain. But any questions, please? Any of my members, people that have been supporting the channel, are you concerned with what I'm saying? Do you think it's going to drastically change? I don't think much is going to change. I really don't think much is going to change with what I've been doing here. It's just going to be like more American centric and more grassroots. Basically, again, if you've been watching how you've been watching how I started in 2020, like we're going to be returning to that type of stuff, which you guys all like anyways. You like when I'm doing road trips, but it was just kind of like road trips, right? Or like when I'm doing things IRL, you guys love that content anyways. I do love these streams. These streams are great. But reconnecting with others and bringing you guys to those connections, I think is going to be very important, especially these next few years. What is my favorite Skittles flavor? It's got to be the pink or the raspberry one. There's like one that's like a little bit not red, but darker red. I think it's like raspberry. Any questions on what I've laid out for my community? This is more of a change for the mods than y'all. Yeah, really, honestly. Nothing's changing for, I mean, it's not like we had some major leftist progressive thing anyways, but we were more left leaning, and that's not going to change. But what I'm changing is we're going to be more populist. Okay, we're going to be more populist with it and less restrictive on what people are saying. Does that make sense? A deep dive into the weave. I hope I did a better weave than Trump. Am I doing a better start? Am I off to a better start? I'm on the right path. Okay. I'm not seeing your questions. Serious questions I posted above, no answer. I haven't been looking at chat. Mercado, what you got to do is have a regular show and a regular time again is impossible to follow you now. For the past like three weeks, I've been streaming during the daytime, and that's what we're going to continue doing. It's been balancing covering geopolitics and my Ukraine audience that I developed, and also the audience that I have from the past that have been focused on American-centric news. Because obviously, like when I cover American-centric news, a lot of people will come in. That's like my core following returning. Like, oh, he's back covering American news again. No, we missed him. Oh, dang it. No, he's a liberal now. What happened? But I've been covering because I've been covering geopolitics. Like nothing is going to change. Like nothing is going to change with that. You said I'm caving in. I don't think I'm caving in. I don't think this is the strategy this is the strategy that's been laid out to me. If I'm able to change my strategy if I need to, but like I'm really feeling that in order to undo what happened in the election, you can't cry. You can't cope about it. You can't say, "Oh damn, like no, oh it's all bad. Oh it's doom and gloom. Oh man, like yeah, that should be already known, right? That's why I guess I served in the army. You know the situation's going to be dog shit. You know it's going to be bad, and how you plan around it is how you will navigate it or succeed. And that is what we're doing now. And you're either going to be mentally able to do it, or you're not going to be mentally able to do it. And that's just what it is. I was answering your question earlier. I hope I got to one of them. You don't have to send super chats for these questions. I'm just trying to answer as many as I possibly can. And again, the core, here, let me go full screen because I've been talking with a small camera. The core foundation of our community is not changing. It's not going to be an exclusive community, if that makes sense, right? It's not going to be one that tells people you can't be a part of us because you're this. It's never hasn't been that way anyways. But it's going to be more geared towards undoing some of what we just seen in the ramifications of our election, while also engaging in more of boots on the ground, grassroots efforts. And it has to be this way. Still Ukraine updates, I hope. That's not going to change. We fundraised almost $400,000 for Ukraine over the past 2 years. I have connections with the country. I have friends now that, I mean, forever, that are connected to Ukraine. So that will continue. But we're going to be there's going to be focused on what the core of my platform is for. Now, maybe my YouTube channel, you guys came a little late. Well, I had this YouTube channel you guys are on was originally a gaming channel. It was originally a gaming channel, and I morphed it into a geopolitics and basically what I had my Facebook page and others into for these past 2 years. So I get it if you're like, you've only covered Ukraine. Yeah, that's what I've just used my YouTube channel for. I have more followers than other platforms by a lot. Okay. And I'm going to be bringing them to the YouTube channel. So you're going to be seeing a lot more people over here too as we continue, because I'm going to be on the ground and a lot of people watch, and I'll be growing this YouTube channel with that energy. Okay. And that's what I want to do with it. So it's going to be less. They'll still be covering geopolitics, but it's going to be a lot less. It's going to be more covering what's happening in the United States, because people are going to want it. People want it now. People want it right now. They want to know what's going to happen. They want to know what the ramifications of this presidency, good or bad. And I think it's going to be more bad than good. But that's, people are looking for that though. And that's what we need to be ready for. And that's what we are ready for that. We do have a community for that. Who else has a independent community that covers current events that has all types of people in it? I don't know. Maybe other streamers but I don't know anybody that also streams at home but then goes on the ground too. Dylan does. Dylan Burns. He has something similar, but I even think like our community, like on the back end too, does more with each other, more community engagement with what we have here. I do, like I said, I do have a gaming channel. So even after the news updates and the current events of the day, like say you're stressed out, I'm on my gaming channel and I play Call of Duty. After the election loss, what did I do? I played Call of Duty for like 3 hours. I played Black Ops. I played Black Ops 6. You know, you might be a Trump supporter. I'll fucking get more kills than you. What of it? You're a Trump supporter? I'll play me in Madden. I'll wipe you down. I'll put more points up on the board than you will. I bet you can't. Okay. I play video games over there, but it's community engagement on that platform. But also I really like the games we play where more people can play, right? Where we play like, if you followed me in 2020, remember how much we played Jackbox games? Remember how much we played? I mean, we even found Fall Guys over these past couple of years. That's another game where like a lot of people can play, and I love that type of stuff where we can all hang out together, and that's going to continue, and we're going to push more into that. ATP Geopolitics. Oh yeah, hey Jonathan from ATP Geopolitics. Yes, because he went and Greg Terry. Yes, others that are streamers that are on the ground doing grassroots work. Yes, those type that have good communities on the back end. But I feel like we have a bigger one, is what I'm saying. I feel like we have one that's built for this moment now instead of having to build it during. Does that make sense? Like, we're ready now. We have the thing right now, and we know what's going to happen. If anything, you have 2 months to get your mind right. You have 2 months to prepare because Biden's still the president. Biden's still holding it down. If anything, I'm hoping Biden, I saw the funniest tweet, and I kind of, that's how I feel with what Biden should do here the last 2 months he's president of the United States. Sleepy Joe, you've got 2 months. Go crazy. Eliminate all student debt. Legalize marijuana. Make tampons and condoms free. Ban cyber trucks. Shit in the Oval Office's air vent. Kidnap Barron. The world is your oyster. Yes. Toyota Corolla. We in California got to keep the veto-proof Democrat supermajority in the state legislature, and Gavin convened an emergency session to find ways to fight Trump. Proud to be from here, but it's going to be an uphill battle. And then good lesson on adaptability to overcome. I know improvise fits somewhere too. Yes, you got to improvise. It's ain't no playbook on this. I know, but this isn't. There's no written words to be like, this is what you have to do to get through this situation. Kind of like up to you, honestly. And the influences that you keep around you, and the people you have within your space. But yeah, I hope Biden should allow Ukraine to use all Western weapons at this point. Yeah, specifically talking about like geopolitics, for example. I'm hoping Biden gets the United States in a position of European support that is going to be hard for Trump to make a favorable deal for Putin. And Biden has 2 months to do that, and that would be a strong move to do so, and we'll see if he will. And that's one of the last things Biden could do, I feel. So last thing, the FBI and statement of offensive and racist text messages. The FBI is aware of the offensive and racist text messages that get sent to individuals around the country and is in contact with the Justice Department and federal authorities on the matter. As always, we encourage members of the public to report threats of physical violence to local law enforcement authorities. And then Bendy with a gifted. Thank you so much, Bendy. Yep. It's some of the background stuff that's likely going to be happening like during Trump's presidency. I mean, it even started beforehand. But that's some of the work that can be done on our end to engage with others, and then maybe through the work that is done on the grassroots level, and this is going to be the hopium of it, is the work with the grassroots level, and others will push back on some of that and be like, I talked to so and so, and like they might have some left-leaning ideas, but they're not DEI or woke. They're not some anarchist, right? That's how it starts. That's how Americans talk. That's how Americans talk to each other. And to how you think that's right or how you think that's wrong, it's just what it is. Okay, it's what it is. And then now you have a plan. Now I'm laying out a plan to work with the rules given, and we have to fight with it. I didn't make the rules. I didn't write the rules, but I understand them. Okay, I understand them for sure. And now is the time to do so. Like, people are uncertain or unsure of what to do right now. I know exactly what we need to do. Grassroots efforts, middle class, lower middle class, direct engagement, community building, destroy all social justice type energy, like any of that. Like it can exist without platforming it in a cringe way. Political correctness, dead, gone, bye. And then also I had one more too, but I think that's like the core penance of like how we can get a victory. And then after that, then yes, then once, because you got to realize, in order to change minds, you can't talk to them as if they are understanding of what you're talking about. That's why a little earlier I had brought up the fact that if I have a conversation with somebody about Ukraine and they're less knowledgeable on Ukraine, it's going to put them off because they're going to be like, I don't know anything about that. Like, you know more, my guy. Go ahead. Like, you got it. Good luck. It has to be like that with engagement on domestic politics too. At least that's how I feel there. I'm glad that majority of you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. I've been seeing comments, so I'm glad that you guys are. And we're not going to have a strategy stream every single day about like, this is what we need to do to win. Like, we're going to be covering current events. Like, things are going to be happening. Things are going to happen, whether it's Trump's actions or whether it's just things that are going to be happening in the world. Like, that's not going to change. Honestly, nothing changes for like what I'm doing. It's just a focus, understanding what the focus is now. I would never respond to any of your comments where I'm not seeing them. I'm missing them. I'll read comments now. Andrew, I want to laugh with MAGA videos. Yeah, it's I want to, but they won though, so it's like tough to. You know what I mean? It'd be different like if like Harris had won, and then you can go back and be like, oh, remember when they wore trash bags? But that sucks though, because they won doing that, right? They won with that strategy. So it's like you're gonna have to do something different now. Of course, thank you, Tony. Watch Tressie McMillan's interview on the Daily Show yesterday. She said a lot of what I'm saying. Am I gonna get copyrighted for it on the Daily Show? I know I'm not saying it the correct way, and I know that's why I did the weave, St. Javelin, because I don't know the proper words for what I'm trying to lay out here, other than like, basically, I come from this world. I come from the dark. Okay, I know how to go back into it and talk to people within there, is what I'm basically trying to lay out, and I'm gonna need my community to reflect that. Okay, that's the fastest way I can get that out there. He doesn't seem to respond to what? My comments are inappropriate. Well, I'm responding to comments about the fabric of our community here, I guess. I weave it in and weave it out. Got to. Be more tolerant and inclusive, but not of intolerance and exclusion. Exactly. That's one way to put it. Yeah, just trying to keep it summarized. There's a lot of words there, but I'm trying to keep it very, very simple to understand. Very simple to understand, like what I'm referring to. The Bannon interview, that's the other thing too. Yes, I mean, immediately. It happened very quick. Yeah, that's where the fight was there. I mean, the fight against all of this was valid. That wasn't the problem. It wasn't that as if your fight... I'm not invalidating your support for Kamala Harris and trying to fight, because that's what I was doing. It's that everything that we were trying to say was gonna happen is now gonna happen. It's like, that's what they said. Project 2025 is our agenda. We got it. Never lied. I said all along that Project 2025 is the agenda. I even made a website dedicated to it, project2025.com. I tried to tell you, don't blame me if you didn't listen. Wow. Oh, he set it up to be his movie. This is his movie trailer.
CSM.
Well played. Well played. Nice. Guys, it's propaganda and it's media messaging, okay? Once you understand that, you understand the mission. I'm wondering how like the algorithm on X is going to change too, like how that's going to look. Because Elon, I mean, most of the bots are leaving, or Elon's killing all the bots. But I'm wondering how that can change. Also, this is not the title of my stream. I don't know why that's there. I don't know why that's going on there, but we need to fix that. Andrew, you must have a cap, dark Andrew like Elon. I must have I'm not. No, I don't. It's not. No, see, that's the other thing. You don't emulate what they're doing. You don't then be like, oh, I need to be like Elon, or no, I need to be like this twin. No, it's not like then becoming them. It is taking their strategy of how they want and implementing it with what you want and doing it that way. And it does require, again, it does require somebody populist. It has to. And it also somebody that people can really rally around. And it has to happen early. It can't happen late. It can't happen with only 120 days left to go before the election. It has to be populist. It has to be somebody that can connect with others and have a community with others, open-minded. This, like, I mean, I don't know if I had sent this to some of my mods. I don't know if I posted it, but here, you know what? I'm going to let somebody that knows more about what I'm trying to say speak for us here. Speak for me here. Because Bernie Sanders, if anything, I've noticed a lot of actual like MAGAs that have learned to respect Bernie Sanders. Right? You might have some underlying like, oh, he's a commie Marxist, but he's got some good opinions and he kind of makes some sense, and the Democrats really screwed him in 2016. Okay? So there is some like Bernie bro brains with MAGAs. And I'll be honest, like the first time that I saw Bernie Sanders was on Rogan. Back when I watched Rogan. I don't watch Rogan anymore, and that's my own personal choice, but many still do. And the first time I got exposed to Bernie Sanders' ideas and like what he was talking about was on Joe Rogan. And I was like, damn, dude, Bernie isn't this communist Marxist person that I thought he was, that Fox News told me he was. He's like pretty sensible. When I listen to Bernie lay this out.
How does the Republican Party do so good?
There you go.
And now I'm going to tell you something that very few people in Congress would tell you. If you are the
smoke some green,
and this is what your goals are. Your goals are to give huge tax breaks to the very richest people in this country. Your goals are ultimately to privatize Social Security so that Wall Street can make money from that. Privatize Medicare so the insurance companies can make more money. Privatize education. Do away with public schools. If those are your goals and you said that to the American people, you think you get a lot of lower? There are many members of the Congress today, Republicans, who not only will not raise the minimum wage, which is $5.15 an hour, you know what they will tell you, honestly? They believe in abolishing the minimum wage. Did you know that? Check it out. Telling you the truth. So that if Americans can work for $3 an hour or $2 an hour, not a problem. Now, if you had an agenda like that and you went before the American...
But also, again, yeah, this was 2003. This isn't Bernie from 2016. This is Bernie back in 2003.
People. Tax breaks for the rich. Destruction of Medicare. Destruction of Social Security, as we know it. Lowering the minimum wage or abolishing it. How many votes do you think you'd get? Not a whole lot. Maybe the richest 1% would vote for you. But that's not a lot of votes. So what do? I've got a problem. You package it. How do you package it? And here's, I want you to pay attention to me.
Again, 2003. Bernie in 2003.
This is bad stuff. I don't mind debating people who say, I was on the Hannity show, Sean Hannity yesterday, and Hannity, extreme right-wing guy, he thinks he loves these tax breaks for the rich and so forth, so we had a little bit of a discussion about that. Actually, it was a loud discussion. But I don't mind people who are upfront about that. Okay, give the rich more tax breaks, we can argue that. But that doesn't win you elections. So this is what you do. What you do is divide people up. When you asked me your question, how do I get elected? I said, I try to bring people together. We fight for women's rights. We support the rights of minorities. We support the rights of workers. We bring the majority of people together. And occasionally, honest people will have differences of opinion. In this room, there will be differences of opinion. But everybody in this room is in agreement that everybody should have health care, right? Question number 2, should we increase funding for education or should we lower funding for education?
Funding for education should increase. However, right, that's the fear though, is because the MAGA platform is the Department of Education is likely going to be gone now. Like, because that's what the MAGA platform ran on. It's crazy from 2003 to now we're in now it's 20 years or 21 years later. And now we're talking about outright just removing the Department of Education. But that was the fight back then, was more funding or less funding.
Raise your hand if you think we should increase funding for education. Okay, you're on the side of the vast majority of Americans. Okay. So on those issues, we bring people together. Now, what do the Republicans try to do? And they use it in what we call kind of language that they don't, not upfront about. What do? We divide people up by races. Affirmative action becomes one issue. All them black people are getting the jobs that we white people used to have.
Black jobs, Latino jobs.
Split people, working class, white against black, instead of working together to create decent jobs for all. Those uppity women now, they want the right to choose. We'll split people on the abortion issue. We'll split people up on the gun issue. We'll split people up on religious issues. You follow what I'm saying? So you split people up, and then they end up, if you're a middle-class person, voting against your own interests, and the rich go laughing all the way to the bank. Okay? And they very often play white workers off against everybody else.
Which is exactly what happened in this election.
And we try to bring people together to say, look, we're all in this boat together, whether you're black or white, whether you're Hispanic, whether you're Muslim, whatever you may be. Everybody needs health care. How do we create a health care system that works for all people, not divide people up? Everybody knows that the kids, young people, do not make it into the middle class unless they have a decent college education. So how do we make college education accessible to all people? Not an expensive proposition, a tiny, tiny fraction of the president's tax breaks for the rich, if we put into financial aid, would make sure that every young person in this country could go to college without going deeply into debt. You know what? The vast majority of the people support us. But in order to do that, we've got to bring everybody together. And many of these, not all, and I'm not here to disparage all Republicans. Some very decent people happen to be conservative. I respect that. But some people who I don't respect will play off women against men, black against white. Oh, the gay issue, very, very big issue. Okay? Straight against gay, right? We're all supposed to hate gay people, so we split that group.
Which now that's switched into trans people, right? It was just general, just all gay people, and now it's just trans.
And then the argument, some of us are not patriotic. We had concerns about the war in Iraq. I voted against giving the president authority to the war in Iraq. Well, that makes us unpatriotic. We hate America. Divide those things up. And that's how they succeed. And they succeed with the help of the media, because the media will not talk about how, in a sense, the common problems that Americans face and how we bring people together. And that's what I believe. I believe that on issues like everybody in this room thinks, I think, that instead of giving tax breaks to the rich, we should increase federal aid to education. Anyone disagree with that? Well, you know what? Most Americans agree with that. All of you think that every American should be entitled to health care. I suspect most of you think we should not have a trade policy which allows corporations to throw American workers out on the street and run to China. Most Americans agree with that. And our job is to bring people together on common interest, and some of these extreme right-wing people, you watch the issues that they talk about. Affirmative action they use to divide. The issue of abortion they use to divide. The issue of guns they use to divide. And our job is to say, let's focus on basic economic issues. How do we expand the middle class? This is a great country. Why is it the average American is working longer hours for low wages than 30 years ago? Let's talk about that. Okay?
Common sense, I feel. It's common sense. So with Bernie's messaging there, it's not that Bernie's laying out what it is. It's like that's the game. Bernie laid out the game right there, and what he said to that class right there. And it's up to the people that can hear Bernie there and not say, "Oh fuck, they're never gonna do good." Then, oh well, it's the chips are stacked against it all the time. Then, well, that's obviously a take, but then the other take is to dig in, lock in, as I will say, and at the time then is to connect with those voters or with the people within the middle class or within the working class. Just call it working class, because the working class consumes up the lower, middle, upper still too, but the working class, and what's going to happen, and yeah, that's why Trump and the Trump campaign did a bang up job with the media manipulation and their messaging about that's why I said they had more of a leftist anti-war campaign, and it's not going to be any of that. They were sold that idea. Trump sold a better thing to support, which was the idea and the concepts. But those ideas and concepts of plans, and they hit better, I guess. They hit better for the voting populace. And it's up to those that are going to be against this to have going to come out with something better. Something better. And the only the way we can do that is to completely do something different. I don't know if the Green Party helped the GOP at all, really. I think a lot of people stayed home. A lot of people stayed home from voting. I know a lot of Trump voters stayed home too. A lot of Trump supporters didn't actually go out and vote. But a lot of people that would have supported the opposition to him didn't vote either. I don't think maybe it would have helped Harris a little bit, but even if you add up all of the Stein voters, I don't know if that would have changed anything. I really don't know if that would have made a big impact on helping Kamala Harris win. He had such a big margin of victory that didn't have a ripple on it at all. It's 4 years of media manipulation and propaganda and doing nothing to fight back. And then when it came time to fight back, the media that was supposed to fight back against Trump's media manipulation chose then to just join in with it and point fingers at Biden. And oh my God, it was just a nightmare. But that's what happened. You can't go back and change what happened. You can only change what happens next. You can only change what happens next. And then people also that were supportive of Ukraine, like, I'm sorry, Professor Gertis did not do enough with his platform to advocate for and what I would feel is stronger policies in a position that would help Ukraine win. He was very fence sitting on the situation for the majority of the election cycle. Like people like that. I also feel like a lot of these Reagan Republicans did not vote for Kamala Harris. They said they were going to. The Republic that they were going to, but there's no way he wins at that margin of victory with all of these supposed Republicans that were going to be voting across the aisle. And that it just doesn't happen. I feel like many didn't vote. That's their right to do that. Right? It's their right to stay home and not vote. But I feel like that's what happened. They didn't do that. You can't walk in the sewer without getting that smell on you, Merc. Dude, I have the smell on me still. What you mean? I came from MAGA. Man, you wouldn't have been following me in 2016, 2015. You would not be in my stream right now. I wouldn't be streaming anyways because I was doing other shit. But I already have the sewer. I already have the smell on me. That's why other content creators don't like me. Because I say quiet parts out loud and I make people mad. And people that are fucking piece of shits to others, like I'm loud about it. And I ruin the status quo. And it's all nice and calm. But oh, there's a scammer and grifter and Mercado's calling him out. So he's causing problems. I'm the problem causer. What's up, Brandon Mitchell? Like you too. Shout out to Brandon Mitchell in the chat. Appreciate you. Go subscribe to Brandon Mitchell really quick. Why did Facebook remove my comment for saying that I hope you guys don't go riot at the Capitol again? Like, what is that? Look at what this is what's getting reported on Facebook now. Maybe you people should go to the Capitol and riot again. It's that Facebook. It's kind of soft. What kind of punishment am I going to get for this one? I wonder what. Oh, am I going to lose? I'm going to get some punishment. Let's see here. Let's see what type of restrictions it gives me. Here's Brandon's YouTube channel. I'll go subscribe to Brandon. I don't know. Facebook's loading. It's loading it's loading up my punishment right now. I don't know what's going to happen. Oh, I'm in the principal's office. You'll hear back from us soon. Oh, God. I'm just causing so many problems. So many issues there. Go subscribe to Brandon. There was actually a video from Ukrainian soldiers. Oh, there's my punishment. Punishment just came in. I got restrictions on my account. I can't start or join calls, and I can't use groups. Because I told a MAGA, I hope they don't go raid the Capitol. They probably reported the comment. That's what happened. They probably reported what I said. Damn, dude. We restricted your account as a safety measure. Was my account just like cooked now? How cooked is my Facebook account now for writing such a mean statement? Nope, I lost monetization again. Damn it. Guys, I can't receive stars anymore. Damn it. All that for I just lost monetization and my profile growth is at risk. All for saying I hope you don't go and storm the Capitol again. Damn. Dang, dude. Darn it. I didn't say the right words. I said wrong speak. Heck. I had a video to show you guys. I'll fight that and we'll probably get through it. But yeah, thank you for everybody supporting on YouTube to help me not have to earn money on Facebook, really. I think my paycheck on Facebook will be like 400 and some bucks this month, but obviously I get way more from you guys over here on YouTube and I appreciate that. Yeah, I have almost 200,000 followers on Facebook. 170 some thousand followers over there, so I gotta like use it.
надеюсь.
I hope that something will change. Specifically, I hope that the changes will be the following: an increase in armaments, an increase in ammunition rather, new types,
увеличение озброения, увеличение боекомплектов.
Of guns, so that we can still end this war with victory. Hey, Iconoclast with a gifted, and it goes to Brandon Mitchell in the chat. Amazing. I'm a socialist Dem. Big $50 super chat here. I'm a socialist Dem. I believe in America. I oppose Bush's ventures. I support the working and middle class. I also support the Second Amendment. I support, as the one libertarian said on Dylan Burns' stream, a policy on defensive democracy. I do too. I support every single thing you just said. I support every single thing you just said. 100% the whole way. The freedom of speech, right to bear arms, the freedom to defend yourself, all of that. 100%. That is where I'm at too. Because I was too young to support Bush. I was like a literal child. So there's no way I could like outwardly support George W. Bush, but I definitely was against the war when I was old enough to understand what the hell was happening. I'm like, damn, we're just in the Middle East for like 20 years and nothing's changed and nothing's happened and the ISIS is back in power again, and that was a shit show. That was dog shit. 21 years of a waste of resources, trillions of dollars, 7,200 American soldiers' lives gone for absolutely fuck all. Nothing. We got nothing from that. Zero. Other than debt and dead soldiers, to be honest. But I support everything you just said there. That's the energy we need to bring into 2026.
Все-таки цю війну завершили перемогою.
Це захищає весь цивілізований світ від того, що
We're protecting the whole civilized world. We're fighting this war. They don't have to do this, and their people.
Люди не будуть їхні міста бомбитися.
They won't die. Their cities will not be bombed. As long as Ukraine holds on, they are safe. As soon as they stop supporting Ukraine and Ukraine falls, they can experience for themselves what it is like to be in Ukraine. Yep. When you lose your right to self-determination, or you have to fight for that again, it gets, you got to go into places that not a lot of people are comfortable in, like war. Republicans started that war too. I wonder what Trump is going to do. It's been over 24 hours. Been well over 24 hours into the supposed peace he's going to have in Ukraine. I don't know if that's going to happen. I really don't know if that's going to happen. Also, guys, make sure really quick, if you've been supporting this stream and you like the direction that we're going to be going here, which again, not a whole lot's changed, just less chat restrictions and mods have less to do, honestly, other than be a part of the community like they always have been. But that's what's going to change. And then what I'm going to be doing personally is going to change. But not much. I hope you do subscribe and you're locked in, because I'm going to be live every day. We're going to have a busy 4 years, tell you what. I only started at the last few months of Trump's presidency, and we had gained hundreds of thousands of followers covering that. I can only imagine where we're going to go here in this next one.
Russian President Vladimir Putin is expected to deliver remarks today after Trump's historic presidential win. The president-elect has vowed to end the war in Ukraine, and Putin is one of few world leaders that has yet to congratulate Trump. Meanwhile,
he's putting on a show. Like I said at the start, all of this is like a show with him and Putin to drum up more of the supporters that, oh yeah, he actually will be strong for Ukraine, and he's gonna, and Putin, oh look at Putin, isn't even, he's being mean to Trump too. It's a show. They're putting on a play for everybody. That's what's happening here. Putin plays tough in opening move. Putin did not come running. He let his spokesman react to Wednesday to the outcome of the U.S. presidential race, proclaiming that the Kremlin has no plans to congratulate Donald Trump on his victory. If the U.S. wants the peace deal Trump promised during his campaign, the Russians signaled that he would need to earn it, and the price for Ukraine would be high. The message is, if you want a deal, you're going to crawl on your knees for it, says Nina Khrushcheva, an authority on Russian politics and foreign affairs at the New School. Putin feels he's starting out with Trump from a position of strength. It's a play. It's like a reality bit here for everybody, because they're really just going to plan together on how much land that Russia's going to get to keep in Ukraine. And the back end, well, like on the public side, they're going to pretend like they're saying mean words to each other. Trump's really standing up to Putin, or Putin's aggressive words means Trump can't be pro Putin or whatever. It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be ridiculous. Whatever you think it's going to be even more ridiculous. Okay. That makes the Russian president an outlier among European leaders. On Wednesday, many of them issued flattering statements and promises to cooperate with the Trump administration, but the Kremlin noted drily that the U.S. and Russia both remain at war. I don't know if I said that word correctly. Probably not. What is that word? Drilly? Both directly and indirectly. While Putin's conditions for ending that war, a spokesman said, remain unchanged and are well known in Washington. Indeed, over the last few years, Russia has issued a series of conditions for ending the war in Ukraine. Most of them were tossed aside by the Biden administration, which tended to see them as ultimatums rather than good faith efforts to negotiate. In 2021, for instance, just a few months before Russia invaded Ukraine, Biden reached out to Putin with an offer to discuss a broad agreement on international affairs, ranging from nuclear and cybersecurity to the future of Europe and the NATO alliance. The response from Putin amounted to a middle finger. If Biden wanted a summit with Putin, the Kremlin said the U.S. should set the mood by pulling its military forces entirely out of Eastern Europe, retreating to positions it held before Putin had taken power. As the lead Russian envoy put it at the time, the U.S. needs to pack up its stuff and get back to where it was in '97. The U.S. rejected that notion out of hand. Instead of a summit, the White House promised sanctions that would cripple the Russian economy. Since then, Putin's occasional overtures to the Americans have varied widely in tone and substance, depending on how the war in Ukraine happens to be going at the time. During a low point for the Russians in the fall of 2022, when they faced the third in the series of humiliating losses on the battlefield, Putin's rhetoric grew notably softer. He even referred to the Ukrainians as his partners, insisting that Russia had always been open to negotiating a deal at the end of the war. So it was important to keep the pressure, not take the pressure off. But then that's when a lot of the Russian influence over Americans and certain politicians in the United States really started to take hold. And they're like, we're losing now. Uh-oh, it's not going good for us. Button, money. Let's send money to Tenet Media and get them going. Such talk evaporated as the fighting turned in Russia's favor last year in an ultimatum issued in July. Putin demanded that Ukraine withdraw from regions that Russia had partly occupied. He also talked on the West to lift all sanctions against Russia. Trump, during his campaign for the presidency, signaled a willingness to consider that demand, saying that sanctions should be used judiciously in order to protect the power of the dollar and the global economy. When he was asked whether he would stay in touch with Putin in recent years, Trump declined to answer, but it would be a smart thing, he said, for U.S. president to talk to the Russians. What Putin would hope to get from such talks is no mystery. Based on his statements in recent years, he wants to neuter Ukraine militarily, cut off all pathways for it to join NATO, and gain permanent control over its southern and eastern regions. Neither Trump nor his close advisors have declared a willingness to grant those demands. Vice President-elect J.D. Vance said on the campaign trail that a peace deal could turn the current front line into a demilitarized zone, which would be heavily fortified so the Russians don't invade Ukraine after they've already invaded Ukraine. See how that's like a nothing statement? And it's like, that's why I'm like, dude, you supported Trump. There's going to be some likely ripple effects in the geopolitics of this situation here. That's not going to be good. It's not going to be a good one. So we'll create a DMZ within Ukraine that they won't invade, even though they've already invaded. Does that make any sense? Is there common sense with that? Where's the common sense there, right? So basically, J.D. Vance is like, we'll let the Russians create a buffer zone, which will be like even more territory lost by Ukraine. So that would be like Ukraine would have to sign a J.D. Vance deal like this, to where Russia keeps obviously all that territory, but then there's going to be another level of territory. So Ukraine will end up losing even more territory of this, because you have the occupied land, right? You have the occupied territories within Ukraine already. But then what J.D. Vance is saying is that they're going to, for the peace, create a buffer zone a demilitarized zone, which again would imply that there's even more land that has to be in between the Russian occupation and where Ukraine is solid still. So even more territory will be ceded to Russia within that. And it'll be kind of like the DMZ zone will be kind of like it'll be more catered to Russia than it will be Ukraine. Like Russia will have more control over what happens in that demilitarized zone than Ukraine will. Hope we get the strategy right, Pompeo told Time during a visit to Kyiv in September. Although Congress had approved more than $174 billion in assistance to Ukraine since the start of the invasion, President Biden has squandered it. He added too slow, too little, too late, too restrained. Which I would say Pompeo is likely correct there, but also when you say this, but the politicians that are aligned with you were doing everything they can to make sure it was slow. Like, yes, Biden and the administration needed to make stronger decisions faster, but there was also an effort from Republicans in office that were fighting against all aid to Ukraine, and then the media manipulation on the back end, and within like just media manipulation on Americans had them believing that aid to Ukraine was like a proxy war, or like, because Ukraine's getting money to fight Russia, therefore my groceries cost more money. Okay, that's the message that was given, and that's what won the election. That's the propaganda that ended up winning. So it's the responsibility of people like me who do support Ukraine to then translate it to Americans on how, yeah, like it's important to aid Ukraine. Russia's position in the world is going to continue through imperialism. Like, yeah, you're an anti-war, you support anti-war. You're an anti-war Trump supporter. Okay, if you're anti-war, Putin's invasions of European countries will likely only draw Americans into actual like combat, and like American soldiers being sent to Europe eventually to stop another World War III. Okay, and we weren't doing that. I know a lot of the media manipulation was telling you that we're in a World War III. Now, decisions made in the climate we're in will lead us that way or not that way, but letting Russia take over Ukraine is going to further our World War III. It's going to further us into that, because Europe, like, what do you expect Europe to just stand by? We have NATO still. While Trump is president, we still have NATO. We still have Article 5, what's that going to look like? But like if European countries start seeing weakness, or if Putin starts seeing weakness within Europe and others, like that will draw America into another war. And then what kind of anti-war stance are you going to have then? It won't be right away. It'll have to be an attack on the United States, just like Pearl Harbor in World War II. Because again, like I had said, until it affects Americans directly, it'll be hard bargain for anything. But it's just having these conversations, I guess, over time. Right now that Trump has won, and you're going to get to see Trump's plan geopolitically and what he's going to do. If you're truly anti-war, we'll see just how anti-war this gets here. And with Putin looking to North Korea and North Korean troops just joined the war, I'm not really seeing a whole lot of anti-war happening here. And then with Trump promising to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours, I feel that Putin's decision to bring in North Korean troops into the situation is only going to make these wishes even more difficult. And then how is Trump going to navigate that is the question that I have.
U.S. and Ukrainian officials say North Korean troops have now engaged in combat with Ukraine. ABC's Patrick Reevell joins me now for more. Patrick, the Kremlin press secretary says he's not aware of any plans to congratulate Trump, as Russian relations with the U.S. are, in his words, at a historic low. So what can we expect Putin to say in the speech today?
Hi, Dan. Yeah, I mean, we're still waiting for President Vladimir Putin to appear. He's due to give a major speech, a major planned speech in Russia. It's supposed now to go ahead in about an hour. I think we expect him very much to talk about the war in Ukraine, and there is some expectation that he could make some sort of comment about President Trump's election in the United States. I think at the moment what most people are trying to wait and see is, will Putin give some indication that he is ready for negotiations on the war? Does he want to have negotiations? The war in Ukraine has already become immediately perhaps even the top foreign policy issue on the agenda for the Trump administration. We've already seen reports today of people asking what sort of peace plan is President Trump hoping to put forward, given that throughout the campaign he's talked about ending the war within 24 hours.
And he said he would do that while he's president-elect. He is currently the president-elect right now. He's going to be president again. He said he would even get it done before he even does his inauguration speech. Well, we'll check in next month and see if he gets to it. Actually, we'll check in like a month into his presidency and see if that happens.
The Kremlin has said that that's not possible, but they have also, again, suggested that they feel the...
Yeah, it is illegal, right? I know it's illegal, Gilbert, but that's what he promised his people.
Situation on the battlefield in Ukraine is going badly for Kyiv right now, and that they should prepare to negotiate. I think I was speaking...
I'm a person that takes people at their word. People are liars out here, but I'll still like work with what you're saying. Right? Trump promised to end it in 24 hours. It's been past 24 hours. He's the president-elect. As the president-elect, is he doing anything? Or I don't know, talking about, well, it's only been like a day or two, but based upon his promises and what he said, it's not looking like he's not keeping on par with what he said so far.
Today, earlier, also, too, a top Ukrainian official, the head of Volodymyr Zelensky's political party, who told me that the key thing for Ukraine now is security guarantees, that if the war were to stop, if there were to be a ceasefire, it would need to be permanent, and that their number one priority is that they should get security guarantees down.
Now, Patrick, Trump says he plans to end the war in Ukraine, but the Wall Street Journal reports that that plan depends on Putin being willing to stop the conflict.
Kind of like similar to Biden. It's like nothing's changed. Because Biden's strategy has been to at least pressure Putin into stopping it himself, which I still is like, I feel like that was weak. But like, what happens when you just take all the pressure off, but you still hope, right? What happens then? Biden, pressure plus hope that Putin does it. The hope part has been the part that I've been fighting against. And like, I feel like we need more pressure. Trump, no pressure, but hope. What's going to happen? Nothing. Putin will take land, or it'll be a favorable deal for Vladimir Putin in Ukraine.
In exchange for a 20-year guarantee of Ukraine being kept out of NATO. How's Russia responding to that?
Yeah, so this report in the Wall Street Journal this morning is attracting quite a lot of attention. As you say, it's from an anonymous foreign policy advisor to Donald Trump, saying that one possible proposal would be for Ukraine to give up joining NATO for 20 years. The conflict would be frozen, the front line...
That's the other thing, too, is the other Trump plan is Ukraine can't join NATO for 20 years now. Ukraine, NATO, 20 years. It's from the Kyiv Post. Trump team proposes 20-year freeze on Ukraine's NATO bid now. So not only is it, it wasn't ever going to be quick, it was going to be within like 5-10 years, but it's at least 20 now. And I'll be in my 50s by the time Ukraine gets into NATO under Trump. The Wall Street Journal reported that President-elect Donald Trump's team has drafted a proposal to end the ongoing war in Ukraine on Thursday. Allegedly, the plan includes significant conditions. Ukraine should give up its NATO membership aspirations for at least 20 years, the freezing of the current front lines, and the establishment of a DMZ between Russian-held territory in Ukraine. So basically, everything Russia's been asking for. Basically, Russia wins with this. Russia wins the current phase of the war in Ukraine, because it's not going to end. It's not going to be over. There'll still be Ukrainian units fighting, and they're not going to fucking go on what the West tells them to do. Like in 2000, from the years of 2014 to 2022 in the East, they'll still be fighting, but it won't be global support anymore. There won't be a global support, at least from the United States. Europe will have to go against the grain, which I don't know if they're going to do. There's calls for it in some European parliaments and parliament members, but I don't know if they're going to actually I don't know if they're actually going to do that. We'll see. The plan is to exclude the possibility of U.S. troops or UN contingents to monitor and enforce any ceasefire, instead of suggesting that Kyiv's European allies, such as Poland, Germany, Britain, and France, should take on the responsibility. According to the Wall Street Journal source within Trump's team, the U.S. would continue to provide military training and support, including weapons to Ukraine, to help deter further Russian advances. However, previous reports from Trump's advisors have hinted at the possibility that Washington could suspend military aid as a way to encourage Kyiv to enter peace negotiations. It remains uncertain how serious this plan is and whether Trump would fully implement it upon taking office. At present, neither Russia, which continues its offensive, nor Ukraine, which has said it is unwilling to concede territory, have signaled readiness for talks. Trump said during his campaign that he would resolve the war quickly, bringing both sides to the negotiating table without revealing how. I can't give you those plans because if I give you those plans, I'm not going to be able to use them, he said. An unnamed former Trump National Security Council aide told the Wall Street Journal that this plan may be nothing more than speculation, saying whoever was putting it forward and claims to have a window into Trump's plans on Ukraine simply doesn't know what he or she is talking about or doesn't understand that he makes his own calls on national security issues, particularly on an issue as central as this. So Trump's going to do what Trump's going to do. He's going to make his own decision about it, and he's not going to listen to advisors. The U.S., Ukraine's largest allies, provided substantial aid under the current administration, and President Joe Biden has also stressed that any peace discussions must involve Kyiv and respect its sovereignty. While some Ukrainians followed Trump's election and said they were fearful of the fallout for Kyiv from Trump's victory, with his running mate J.D. Vance having been vocally against further aid to Ukraine, some remain hopeful that Trump could put an end to the war, while some Trump skeptics search for a silver lining. Yeah, that was the problem. That's another energy, too, is the amount of... Reagan, like I mentioned, Reagan-era Republicans that both sides the past year and a half, everything. Trump was in the background running the table, which they did, manipulating politicians to vote certain ways, while those that were supposedly supportive of Ukraine did nothing because it would hurt them. I don't know. It was so cringe for the past year and a half of these supposed Reagan-era non-MAGA Republicans that were the most milquetoast, soft, both-sidesing nonsense that I've ever been a part of. Ever. Trash. That's why, I don't want if you're going to be against Trump, you can't court neocons, basically. That has to stop. It has to be more populist, Reagan-era nonsense. Reagan got us into a lot of these problems anyways. Anton, a real estate manager from Kyiv who was polled by Kyiv Post, said he did so because Trump represents a hope for a swift end to the war. For many Ukrainians, Trump represents a hope for a swift end to the war. People are weary, losing family members, seeing children and neighbors suffer, of living under constant fire. I'm skeptical of recent polls suggesting that 60 to 70% of Ukrainians are willing to fight indefinitely. Which also, yes, there will be people fighting, but the morale in Ukraine is getting pretty low, and this is not going to help the morale. Thank you, Renee.
There would be a demilitarized zone along the 800-mile front line. It would perhaps be policed by some kind of European or UN force. No U.S. troops would be involved. And in exchange for this, Ukraine would continue to be given a significant amount of U.S. weapons to be able to continue to defend itself. So far, Russia has not commented much on it. It was pretty much dismissed by the Kremlin spokesperson earlier, who's just said that they only see it as a Wall Street Journal proposal and too abstract for the time being, Diane.
All right. If anything, you know what? I have, I was salty of what Jake Bro did with the Enforcer, but I have a respect for Jake Bro for using his platform to try to actually defeat Donald Trump. And that's the one respect I can give to Jake Bro, because he has one of the biggest pro-Ukraine platforms, and he used it to tell the truth about the internal American politics that were working directly against helping Ukraine. That's the one thing that I can never take away from Jake and his community, is there's a lot of American YouTubers that were covering Ukraine that were playing a fucking game. And they were ignoring any of the internal American problems that were aiding Ukraine in order to keep this facade going. And Jake had a spine. So I do appreciate Jake and his community for actually diving into American politics as well as Ukraine, because they're connected. They are connected. There is no disconnect between the two. Residents of Kyiv react.
We have nothing to lose, and we are going to win with him or without him.
I think it's a great news. Because he has already been president of the U.S. For 4 years, and during that time there were no wars, and Putin couldn't do anything. He couldn't grab any meter of Ukrainian territory.
I surprised, but it's a bad surprise.
You didn't grab any land in Ukraine?
Because I think it's very bad and not good, not only for all the world, but for Ukraine too.
I'm concerned because of his words and his lies.
It's bad for people.
We were in Afghanistan, but Russia was also, there were hostilities in Donbass and fighting, and there was war from 2014 to 2022. Yeah, you guys watch Operator Starsky? Yeah, you guys like Operator Starsky? Yeah, he was an infantry sergeant in the East during that time and had like a long rifle and did all that shit. He just doesn't talk about it often because during the full scale invasion, he's been a press officer and he's done that. But in the old war, he was in the infantry and he was in the East and in the South, around Crimea, and Russia used their little green men in Donbass and Donetsk to take over the airport and everything. That was hostilities that happened under Trump. Or that happened, all of the increased aggressions in the East and in Crimea, and Putin's position on controlling Ukraine didn't change. It's not like Trump was in office and then Putin's ambitions then stopped. Oh, Trump is in office, I better stop. Let me pull my troops out of Crimea now and out of Donbass because Trump's president and I'm scared of him. No.
And
he built up his military to prep for an invasion.
Bad for Ukraine because he doesn't support Ukraine. He doesn't want to support Ukraine.
Well, those are some Ukrainian takes in Kyiv on Trump's victory. Zelensky agreed to advance cooperation on Russia in the conflict.
President-elect Trump will take over as global security is under threat with the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, the deadliest conflict since World War II. Ukraine's president said he had an excellent call with Trump after his win. CBS's Imtiaz Tayeb is in Ukraine with more on what's at stake.
Well, President Zelensky was among the first world leaders to congratulate President-elect Trump. After speaking over the phone, Zelensky tweeted they had agreed to, quote, advance cooperation. Now, on the campaign trail, Mr. Trump repeatedly vowed to end Russia's nearly 3-year war on Ukraine within, quote, 24 hours, but hasn't said how. Now, people here are afraid he may end military and financial support, which has really been a lifeline for the country's defense, totaling over $50 billion. Now, overnight, a Russian drone attack reached the capital, Kyiv, damaging buildings and sparking a fire. Any fresh attempt to end violence like this is likely to involve peace talks of some kind. But Russian President Vladimir Putin says the war cannot end until the areas his forces have claimed as annexations, around 1/5 of Ukraine's territory, are recognized. While Kyiv insists all of its...
So if you're wondering like what the territory is that Putin's going to want in the concessions, it's going to be all of Kherson, all of Zaporizhia, Donetsk, and Luhansk. And once he gets those 4, obviously he'll build his military up again and try to invade Ukraine 5-10 years from now. But that is like what the Putin-Trump peace deal would look like for what Putin wants for land. And then the DMZ zone would be further into some of these oblasts because there's going to have to be a buffer space that Putin's going to want in the concessions that Trump will give him. But it's going to end up being Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson, where Putin had those sham referendums in. And that's the territory he wants.
Land must be
and Crimea
returned. Whatever the case, the new Trump presidency will also likely test not only NATO, but Europe as a whole after he threatened to, quote, fundamentally reevaluate NATO's purpose and mission. Back to you.
Back in September, Trump said that his plan to end the war was to get the presidents of Ukraine and Russia into one room and work out a deal. But it's not yet clear how he'll achieve that or when.
Listen, y'all, I did the best I could with my platform. I went to Ukraine personally. I spent the last 2 years covering it, telling everyone how important it is to support Ukraine. I did everything I could. The ramifications and repercussions of Trump's presidency, because I'm saying it's because I'm saying it out loud, doesn't like... What do you think? I committed my whole platform and went there, took artillery rounds to the again, took FPV drones, again, Shahed drones in Kyiv. Like, do you think I did that for fun? Just for the what the enforcer said, for a vacation? I was trying to advocate for the real concern of like not aiding Ukraine and how important it is, and my messaging lost. Sucks, really does. But I can't stew on it. Otherwise, I can't stew on that. I have to keep moving forward.
I want to spend the next few minutes just assessing the implications of the result internationally. So let's go first to Ukraine and our correspondent, James Waterhouse. And James, we've had that first official statement from President Zelensky, but behind the scenes, give me a sense of what you're hearing.
I think, Matthew, from soldiers, civilians, all the way up to President Zelensky's cabinet, they are analysing different shades of the unknown. I think Kamala,
and none of that is within more aid for victory. None of that is more aid for victory. It is figuring out what's going to happen with a peace deal that Trump is going to force to happen.
Harris victory,
and they'll force Ukraine into doing it by stopping aid and weapons there.
Would have provided some relative certainty if you looked.
And I'm not seeing an appetite from Europe to really step up and take control of this. I'm really not.
She'd said about giving Ukraine support for as long as it took. With Donald Trump, you had his claim of wanting to resolve this conflict in as little as 24 hours. So what does that mean? Is he going to come and visit Kyiv? Is he going to visit Moscow? Is he going to announce a withdrawing of support? Is he going?
And that's why I did support him, because there's no clear decision there. Watch Trump go to Moscow and make it, and not, he hasn't been to Kyiv once. He hasn't been to Ukraine a single time, even while he's been out of office. There's been plenty of Western leaders that lost their elections or lost their positions, or they're just not in office, but still went to Kyiv and talked to Zelensky to see the situation in Ukraine. They still went there.
Going to present a peace plan to Vladimir Putin. Will the Kremlin accept that peace plan, or will he, if anything, as is hoped here, will he step up military support for Ukraine? Everything is up in the air now as a result of this US presidential election. Such is the nature of geopolitics. America's pendulum between isolationism and interventionism is felt acutely in a country that is under a full-scale invasion and needs help from the West just to be able to sustain its fight. I think when you look at President Zelensky, a leader who's grown to be a political operator, he suddenly found himself on the world stage with the full-scale invasion. He will no doubt try to turn this into some kind of opportunity to make his case. And if you look at the language of his post online this morning to Donald Trump, congratulating him, describing a great meeting they had when he traveled to New York and laid out why he thinks he should continue supporting Ukraine. And he's also trying to pitch his country as an opportunity in terms of business investment as well as military aid, because the other side of this is, war drives innovation. There are Western companies as we speak having equipment used and tested by soldiers who are giving feedback. So that will no doubt feed into what Kyiv will try to present to the president-elect in the coming weeks and months. But in short, there are a lot of unknowns being looked at right now.
James, huge questions for...
And none of them are what you guys are looking for. I'm telling you that right now.
NATO now going forward. Huge questions too about whether this might usher any sort of change of policy for the Biden administration in these last few months, about that issue that President Zelensky has pushed him on, about a change in the rules of what he's allowed to target using Western weapons.
Yeah, I think if you're Ukraine, any kind of change or upping of the stakes is welcomed. They need all Western hands to the pump. And I think you're right, that outstanding question of whether Ukraine will be allowed to use Western weapons on targets deep inside Russia, well, that's still unanswered. And it will be hoped that an outgoing President Biden might just give that the final sign-off, especially...
Which he should. He honestly should. Trump left Trump left Afghanistan in the worst situation for Biden to pull out, and Biden was like, "Fuck it, we're done. I'll take that L." Did it out of Afghanistan now. Biden needs to put the United States in a position to help Ukraine. That's going to be very difficult for Trump to pull out of. Biden needs to use these last 2 months as president to position Ukraine and the United States support for Ukraine that is not favorable to Vladimir Putin, because Trump's going to be trying to find the most favorable solution for Putin. That's what he's going to be looking for, not for Ukraine or anyone in the West. Like, it's going to just appease Putin, and then Americans go, "Oh, good, yeah, we can, no, we get eggs back," or something. So Biden needs to use this time wisely and put us in a situation that Trump cannot easily get us out of with aid to Ukraine, which includes long-range weapons. Those long-range weapons need to be okayed, and then the rest of the presidential drawdown authority, and Biden needs to drain all of the accounts. All of the money that was allocated for Ukraine needs to get now. They need to get all of it. Otherwise, Trump's going to, they're already, it's not going to happen anymore. There will be no aid bills from MAGA, especially since they control the Senate and the House and the presidency. You will see zero aid to Ukraine, zero further aid to Ukraine now. So understanding that, Biden needs to use the rest of what's already available and send it now and make these strong decisions now.
With hundreds of Russian glide bombs targeting cities and defensive positions daily because of the Russians being able to launch airstrikes almost unchallenged from deep inside Russia. On the NATO question, of course, it's interesting on whether Donald Trump will put pressure on other members to contribute more to their defense budgets. Will America withdraw by any stretch? I mean, the argument here in Eastern Europe is that Russia won't stop at Ukraine if Ukraine was to fall. And
I mean, not right now. It's been 2 days since the fall. I mean, it's been 2 days since the election loss. So I mean, it's tomorrow's Friday. They're going to have a weekend. His team's probably going to get together, and maybe hopefully by next week because people are looking for Biden to this now. People are going to look to Biden and Biden's administration and what he's going to do in these last 2 months before Trump takes over. There's going to be an energy there. So if I'm telling you this, the team and the smart government people are already talking about it. They're already planning about it, because these 2 months are going to be crucial, setting up what's going to be the next Trump administration. Okay. So he can make he has some time here, and what he does is going to be crucial for Ukraine. If he does nothing, then it's nothing, right? And it's going to get worse, but they can at least put Ukraine in a position right now to where it's going to be very difficult to stop this. It's going to be very difficult for Trump to go against the grain of aiding Ukraine. Because with the control of the House and the Senate, there will be none. There will be no bills, nothing to support anything geopolitically, unless it's Israel. That's about it. Israel will be the only country that gets geopolitical aid outside of, that's about it.
They're arguing here that the Kremlin could well turn on Eastern Europe. I think a lot would need to happen for that. Russia's sustained huge losses in this war, and you wonder, whether Vladimir Putin would want to challenge the NATO alliance in that way. But there is indeed that sense of urgency. And Matthew, it's not just a question of military support for Ukraine, which Donald Trump will have to consider. We also have another ingredient, North Korea, which is only getting more involved in Russia's invasion. There are claims now they are being involved in combat operations here in Kyiv, already in the invasion. So what do you do if you're the new US president?
You focus on North Korea. That's what you do. That's what you do. You take Russia out of it, which is what they're going to do. And then Americans, because we're America, can focus on hating North Koreans, because that's what America will do. They won't hate the Russians. Unfortunately, a lot of us do, thankfully, but the majority will see it an easier hate on North Korea, just like China. It's like a lot of MAGAs see China as the larger threat. Why? Why do you think? Why do you think? Honestly, why do you think? Because they're Asian. That's why. That's exactly why. Divide and conquer. Okay. So Americans will be focused on North Koreans, and that could maybe be a route to continue aid to Ukraine. Maybe if North Korean threat becomes so strong. But if Putin keeps them at bay and doesn't allow Kim Jong-un or North Korea to become more of a threat within the world, he's like, you're going to help us with our meat grinder, but I'm not going to have you rile up the MAGAs. I'm not going to have you rile up the MAGA base into getting it to really be against us, right? Because they don't like China. They don't like our ally China. They already don't like them. So we can't have that. That'll be the only way. That's why MAGA is also focused on Iran only. There's lots of enemies. We have enemies in the world, but only certain types of enemies MAGA will like to focus on, right? But this could be a way in. However, the threat is still there, and we'll have to see who Trump puts on his freaking cabinet. for geopolitics here and how he's going to address these problems. If there is going to be somebody that's like, what's the State Department going to look like? You thought Jake Sullivan was going to be bad. You thought Jake Sullivan was bad. Who's going to be there now? We were hoping for somebody like, again, Jake Sullivan was very appeasy, very much appeasement, not strong in that position, but like at least aid was going to Ukraine though. At least weapons were going there. Under Trump, it's going to be a lot of isolationism talk, a lot of why we shouldn't be aiding our allies, or like why we shouldn't be sending money there. Well, it's going to get worse, but there could be a pathway. There really could, but that's just how much Putin is going to be using North Korea with their efforts, and how much on that public face they're going to allow that to happen. Because again, with North Korea, there could be a pathway there for people that did vote for Trump to then be on the side of aiding Ukraine because North Korea is involved.
Do you choose to respond to that? And if so, how? Because what President Zelensky is saying is, look, Russia is expanding its alliances. We need the West to counter that. But at the moment, in his words, we're getting words and not actions.
James Waterhouse, live there in Kyiv. Thanks very much.
Well, it'll be a lot of words. It's going to be a lot of words. It's just going to be translating if these words are into action. If anything, the good thing of this is that a lot of people are paying attention politically now. So now every single word and every single promise, people are watching now, especially with this L, with this fat L. Okay, took a major L. Trump promised a lot, said a lot of things, and a lot of people are going to be holding him to that now. Even the people that supported him, even the ones that supported Trump in this third time, they're going to be like, damn, I need where's my groceries? Can't wait to see my grocery bill. Can't wait to see my gas bill. Can't wait. Oh, let's go. Trump. He's going to fix it. When it's going to happen when like nothing's changing, right? And every day people are going to be like, Trump, nothing's changed. What happened? You promised. Trump, what happened? We voted for you. We supported you. Nothing's fixing. The prices are more. Elon told me I have to pay more though because it's a temporary struggle that Americans have to go through to hopefully get jobs back, even though we don't have a jobs problem, but jobs are going to come back, and I support that. It's going to be rough. Be a rough one here.
Go from there to our Middle East and our chief international correspondent, Lise Doucette. She is in Jerusalem. And Lise, take us through the reaction there has been where you are.
Well, you know how we've been doing like the 3 days into Putin's invasion of Russia, and we're like almost 3 years now. That's going to be like that with Trump's promises. Here we are, 1 year and 7 months into the Trump presidency. Gas prices are at $4.07, but we're doing it because it's going to help bring back factory jobs to the United States, Elon promised. Oh, here we are now, 7 months into the Trump presidency. War in Ukraine hasn't ended. It was supposed to be 24 hours, but here we are. It's 7 months later. The war has not ended. Or it's, well, the hostilities ended in a favorable position for Russia, but at least, you know, people aren't, there's no nonsense talking points on my social media anymore. I don't have to hear these people that don't support my Trump be very upset at him because there's a peace now. So, oh, Trump won. That's how it's gonna go. That's how it's gonna go. It's just gonna delve in every bad that's gonna happen. It's just gonna delve into, well, Trump won, so take that. You supported the wrong candidate. Okay, that's what it will delve into that.
Very much the result that the vast majority of Israelis wanted, including the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, who was quick off the mark, one of the first world leaders to congratulate Donald Trump, and not just congratulate him, but send him a warm, friendly message to Donald and Melania Trump, and signed in true friendship from Benjamin and Sarah Netanyahu. But
all the Palestine protesters. Oh my God. Oh boy. And you sacrificed this, your thing you care about, to have more liberals protesting with you. But like, it's going to be, oh my goodness. Like, this is Trump changed the fucking the Abraham Accords. Oh my goodness. You got the capital in Jerusalem. But you, dude, talk about voting against your best interests, right? And I don't want to use that anymore, but like, good night here. What's going to happen in Israel and Gaza with Trump?
That sort of emphasizing on this relationship, deep, strong, long relationship between Israel and the United States was echoed by all political leaders here, from the left to the far right leaders saying, God bless Trump. They remember Trump when he was in office the first time round and basically backed all of Israel's long-standing demands, including moving
all of them, even the expansion of the West Bank too.
U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. But it's very, just like we heard from Ukraine.
It's going to be rough.
With James's remark, it's like this proverbial Rubik's Cube. Well, it's hard to put all the pieces together, because you heard Donald Trump in his victory speech saying, I'm the leader, boasting, I'm the leader who ends wars, not stops them. He's reporting
the same guy that said, I'm going to build the wall and Mexico will pay for it. Then turned around and said, that's ridiculous. Same guy said, how could you think that Mexico would pay for the wall, you dumb fucks? I just got your vote. Think I'm going to do that? Goodness, dude. Think Mexico, you really thought Mexico was going to pay for that? Wait, come on. What do you take me for? I just need 10,000, 11,700. Oh my God, dude. Oh boy, buckle up.
Said to Prime Minister Netanyahu that he wants the wars in Gaza, in Lebanon, even the tension with Iran wrapped up before he takes office in January. But he also was reported to have said, do what you have to do. And I think in Israel, there is this expectation that Israel will get a freer hand. But on the other side, there is the...
Yes, they will. What do you mean an expectation they will? The only, it wasn't this maybe the strongest safeguard against what Israel's can just, there's terrorists everywhere. We're taking them out. There's terrorists in all these countries. It just doesn't matter what they are. Fuck the global peace. Hey, Israel, this might take us into World War III. Pagers. Oh, World War III? How about we take out the leader of this terror proxy group in Iran right now? I think that's what we need to do. Hey, what do you think now? The only ones that were speaking against it at all were like the Democratic politicians that were trying to stop any, or at least were advocating for a ceasefire. Now it's going to be, it's going to be more bigger bombs, bigger weapons. But I guess you'll have more protesters out there because Trump's in office. So you'll have liberals out there with you now. But at what cost? Kind of like a Thanos moment here for that one, wasn't it?
The Arab leaders, and they've all congratulated President Trump. They've all spoken of years of cooperation, and all of them have said they hope he will bring peace to the region. And that includes Saudi Arabia, of course. That's the prize for President Trump. He wants to have that normalization with Saudi Arabia. He had a really strong relationship with the kingdom the first time.
It makes you wonder if Israel's going to keep the Lebanon territory it occupied with Trump. Boy, the brand new Trump Heights. What you mean? You got the Golan Heights in the West Bank. You're gonna have the Trump a new golf course, Lebanon. What you talk? Hello? Yes.
Time round. So there's a lot of pieces to juggle. Will he, be Israel's? Will he give Prime Minister Netanyahu everything he wants, or will he be the man who says, "I'm the man who's going to basically be the peacemaker in this region"? A lot of, as always, unpredictable.
Yes, at least you touched on it, because Benjamin Netanyahu, he met recently with Donald Trump. But one of the things to keep an eye on is what Israel may do concerning Iran, because we know in the past Donald Trump has been really hawkish about Iran.
Indeed, it was President Trump who pulled the United States out of the landmark.
And a lot of Republicans have a deep desire to go to war with Iran for some reason. Like, a deep desire to. They really want it. Watch the Enforcer YouTube channel for like 5 minutes, and they will literally get excited and giddy about America going to fight a war in Iran, or a fight against Iran. Listen. Let Trump try to bring America into another Middle Eastern war. Actually, let that happen. Let him try that and see the backlash. Because I mean, I think at that point you'd have even MAGA voters that were like, "Wait, I thought Trump." I don't know. Maybe they won't. I don't know. Depends on right-wing propaganda, and if it's going to implode because they're going to be competing with each other now over who's the best, most strongest Trump loyalist, who's the number one Trump sexual out here. That's what they're going to be fighting over now. They don't have to fight liberals anymore. They don't have to worry about fighting the other side. So it's going to be internal fighting. But it's going to be, if Trump tries to bring us into a war in the Middle East, like that's going to be met with a giant populist movement, a true anti-war movement then. And I'll be on that one. I'll be a part of that one. Ain't no way we're sending more troops into the Middle East and wasting our fucking time there. There's a fucking waste of everything there. There is nothing there for us. There is nothing in the Middle East for the United States but death, debt, and fucking probably more of the people that live there fucking hate the United States even more, and then you create more generations of terror proxy groups because of it. We've fucking done nothing there. Every mission and every goal and objective we've ever had in the Middle East has failed. The only one that the America is trying to hold on to is fucking Israel, and that's already caused a division in the United States. There's going to be a problem there. So any war that the United States wants to actually send American troops to go and fight in the Middle East is going to be met with a major force, and that alone could be like some undoing, at least, of a lot of Trump's support base, because they have a real thirst to try to fight Iran.
Multilateral Iran nuclear deal. It was said that was largely that there was a lot of pressure from Prime Minister Netanyahu to do that. During his election campaign, Donald Trump criticized President Biden for restricting the targets that Israel hit in its recent salvo of strikes against Iran. It's widely expected that Israel will strike again. Israeli leaders say they haven't forgotten that their ultimate goal is to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. So there is a sense that he may not put down the same kind of rules. Don't hit nuclear installations, don't hit oil installations that President Biden laid down to Prime Minister Netanyahu. And in the most recent attacks on Iran, Israel listened to that. But there is a sense now that Israel could find itself with a much freer hand.
Least to say it there in Jerusalem. Thanks very much. Let's turn to Russia, because the Kremlin said it would judge Donald Trump on his actions, that President Putin had no plans to congratulate him. Relations between Russia and the US are at an all-time low, with Moscow angered by Western support for Ukraine. Our Russia editor Steve Rosenberg sent this from Sochi.
Well, it feels like the Kremlin is going out of its way to give the impression that it's not excited at all by Donald Trump's victory.
Again, they're putting on a show. That's what Steve Rosenberg is kind of implying there. They're putting on a play for everyone.
A Kremlin spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, said that, as far as he knows, Vladimir Putin has no plans to congratulate Donald Trump. He said America is an unfriendly country which is involved directly and indirectly in a war with Russia. Now, I think this pouring cold water onto the Trump victory is partly the result of what happened in the first Trump term, when the Kremlin had very high hopes that Donald Trump would improve US-Russian relations. It didn't work out. Having said that, there is no doubt that what Donald Trump said on the campaign trail will have been much appreciated by the Kremlin. He didn't criticize Vladimir Putin, unlike Kamala Harris, who called Vladimir Putin a murderous dictator, and he seemed to question the scale of US military assistance to Kiev. So that will have gone down well with the Kremlin. Certainly here in the mountains above Sochi at the political discussion club I'm at right now, political pundits, political scientists seem to be very happy that Donald Trump has won the election and looking forward to him coming back to the White House. One quite prominent political scientist with Kremlin connections told me that he thinks that under Donald Trump, the United States will retreat from its status as a global superpower.
We are. That will happen by the end of it. We'll be in like second place, I think, behind China, probably, maybe. Yeah, that's what Russia has been trying to do. They've been trying to destabilize. And when you hear like Russia collusion, it's not like, right? MAGA's got an idea that like it's like, and maybe in the background, but it's like Russia's destabilization of our country, so that we're no longer the #1 country, and we're no longer a global power. And that's what Russia's trying to do. It's like on the core fundamental foundation of like our country. But because people have high grocery prices, because we're recovering from COVID, that's going to affect Americans more. And that's what they voted for this time, because eggs cost too much. But like the United States as it exists, as like a core foundation and pillar for the rest of the world to try to emulate, Trump is going to atrophy that, and we're going to like kind of go backwards on that. All the work that Americans have done for the past like I don't know, what, 290 some years. We had almost 300 years. That's going to be tough here. It's going to be a tough fight, but you got to do it anyways.
Steve Rosenberg, Russia.
Yeah, Russia is a failed state. I have no idea why any Americans would try to emulate it, but that's where we're at, I guess.
Editor, let's turn to politics and reaction here. So let's go straight to our political correspondent at Westminster, Ben Wright. And Ben, just take us through the various reaction there has been since the result became clear.
Well, Matthew, Westminster, as capitals are around the world, is absorbing Donald Trump's victory, trying to figure out what it could mean for politics here. Now, as far as Keir Starmer goes, of course, during the course of the US election campaign, he was asked again and again who he would like to win, and of course said that this was entirely a matter for the American people. But there is no doubt that the Labour Party, the Democrats' sister party, wanted Kamala Harris to win this. And frankly, in the last weeks and months, it was hard to find a Conservative MP who didn't want Kamala Harris to win this. So, you know, I think this is
even in Britain, the Conservatives even wanted Kamala Harris to win again, because Britain's global security, well, Britain too, yes, but Europe's global security relies on the United States, relies on our country and the power that we have with our military and protections of like shipping. There's terrorists in the fucking waters, okay, and they try to take over shipping containers, let alone obviously Russia's invasion of Ukraine, for crying out loud, an entire country. So the fact that the platform from Trump and MAGA is more of an isolationist platform, there's serious cause for concerns in other countries as to what those repercussions are going to be.
Really difficult for many politicians here to get their heads around. They're trying to work out what the implications could be. I should say Nigel Farage, the leader of Reform UK, he is delighted and is...
It is their issue, but like, at what point are you going to be? Well, what point do you want to like? I mean, every time it's led into America joining a world war, and then we go to a world war and the entire world changes. So like, if you're comfortable with what you think is your life right now, a world war would change that entirely, and it would change like everything. And if you're not equipped to handle that, that's going to be a really, really tough time for you. If you can't like adapt to changes in the war, that's going to result from a World War III. Because of weakness from the West, because Russia is absolutely going towards that. They're trying to accelerate that.
Urged the Prime Minister to roll out the red carpet for Donald Trump once he's in the White House. But of course, this featured at Prime Minister's Questions today, where Kemi Badenoch, the new Conservative leader, was making her debut, asking questions of Keir Starmer. And the Prime Minister began by giving his response to Donald Trump's victory.
Mr. Speaker, can I begin by congratulating President-elect Trump on his historic election victory. As the closest of allies, the UK and US will continue to work together to protect...
Wow, UK Parliament sounds excited. You don't hear any cheers there, right?
...protect our shared values of...
but we beat the Brits, didn't we? We're better. We won. We beat them, so fuck them, right? I get it. I know that mindset, but like, with the threats we have in our global economy, because our economy is global, the Brits are our allies now. Okay, they're our friends now. We like the Brits. We won. We definitely won. Revolutionary War. We got it. We win. America better. But Brits are our allies, and we have trade with them. And your money, how much money you get, relies on how Britain does too in the world, and like how much money you're seeing in revenue and or whatever, and what you can afford. Yeah, Britain has a part in that too, because they're part of the global economy. They're a major part of the global economy, actually. So it's more repercussions than just like America. It really is.
Freedom and democracy.
I come to the leader of the opposition.
The Prime Minister and the Foreign Secretary met him in September. Did the Foreign Secretary take that opportunity to apologise for making derogatory and scatological references, including, and I quote, Trump is not only a woman-hating, neo-Nazi sympathising sociopath, he is also a profound threat to the international order. And if he did not apologise, will the Prime Minister do so now on his...
See, the thing is, if I'm going to take people that are left-leaning into non-politically correct world, MAGA can't create a politically correct safe space world that I've been seeing cultivate. It's almost as if like the energy is changing. Why are we shifting? MAGA doesn't want a safe space, apologizing for words, nonsense world, right? You want a space that you can say what you want without the fear of a moderator telling you to calm down, right? Or stop. Why are we flipping? Like, if I'm taking the left wing, if I'm going to take the left wing with my community and become more of a less politically correct, more grounded, more common sense based thing to be a part of that can live in truth and reality, why is the opposition creating this safe space snowflake, you need to apologize for saying mean words shit? That's a reflection I feel like MAGA can work on. Yeah, you got MAGA, you got your win, you swept, you got the popular vote, you got the electoral college, you got the Senate and the House. Are you really care about freedom of speech? Prove it. You really care about anybody can say whatever the fuck they want and it should have no repercussions for it? Then why are one of these politicians here? I mean, it's the UK, it's the Brits, but that can't be the energy either. You can't then turn around and say, well, actually, all the free speech wording and the woke social justice warriors that we've been shitting on for 10 years, you can't become that then. You can't then now become that and become this like, oh, Trump is my president, he's the supreme leader. Any criticisms of him are TDS and invalid. That sounds like, what does that sound like? That sounds like 2012 Twitch. That sounds like 2013 leftists. Do you want to be that? I don't think you want to be that, do you?
Of freedom and democracy.
I come to the leader of the opposition.
The Prime Minister and the Foreign Secretary met him in September. Did the Foreign Secretary take that opportunity to apologise for making derogatory and scatological references, including, and I quote, Trump is not only a woman-hating, neo-Nazi sympathising sociopath, he is also a profound threat to the international order. And if he did not apologise, will the Prime Minister do so now on his behalf?
Well, the Foreign Secretary and I did meet President-elect Trump just a few weeks ago for dinner for about a couple of hours, and we discussed a number of issues of global significance. It was a very constructive exercise.
Oh yeah, don't apologize. Fuck no. Hell no. Don't give them anything. You can't. So MAGA won't. Oh, MAGA won't. Can't. I mean, if anything, yeah, you're trying to appeal more to this, but having this, you have to apologize for saying Trump is this, and Trump doesn't apologize. What does Trump apologize for? Trump doesn't get up, but you ask Trump for an apology, and hell no, what the fuck? That's cringe. They ain't apologizing. So you don't expect the opposing energy, the thing that you're fighting against. If you're a MAGA or you're a Trump supporter, if you're trying to stave off this like liberal attack on your identity or whatever, are you gonna become this woke little snowflake sensitive thing? This little precious. Oh, I can't say anything bad. You have to apologize, or like Facebook restricting my words and taking away my reach because I said I hope you don't go storm the Capitol, and they reported my comment because I said such a thing. Okay, listen, if you have Donald Trump as president, number one, felons need to be able to get any job they fucking want in the United States of America now. I support with wholeheartedly, if you're a felon, you should have zero restrictions on your ability to find a job. That needs to stop now too. Any restrictions on felons, anything. If felons have served their time and they went to jail, went to prison, came out, now they're doing their thing, but they still have restrictions on jobs or benefits or resources, that can't happen either. Can't have it. Nope. Because if you can be the president, you can be a convicted felon. You can get a job at whatever the fuck you want as a convicted felon. As long, again, but my morals will kick in, right? As long as you've done your programs, right, and you're trying to be a part of the rest of society. If you're like a felon that's on the rotating door going in and out of prison on a regular basis, I might not want that. I might not want to see that around others. But if you're like a felon that's done your time, you've done your programs and you're really trying to get back out here in the regular world, like you learned your lesson type shit or whatever, right? You should have zero restrictions on what you can do in the country now. That needs to happen with Trump as president.
So some party political knockabout there around the election of Donald Trump. And I really think that this moment, this election, will define a lot of the politics that we see unfold here in the coming months and years, because there are huge questions about what this means for global trade, of course, the impacts here, European security, the war in Ukraine. That was something that the Lib Dem leader, Sir Ed Davey, wanted to ask Keir Starmer about. So this really is a US election that will have ramifications here at Westminster.
It'll have ramifications on everything, just like we were trying to fight against, but we lost. So our message sucked. Their message was better, and now the repercussions will fall, and that's how life works, right? That's all we can do. Walz returns to Minnesota
after a meteoric rise. Governor,
which I'm okay with. I love Minnesota is doing great. We have a surplus in our economy. Minnesota's got a lot of freedom to do shit here. In my state, I really do like it. Healthcare is great. We have the best doctors in the the U.S., but we have the best doctors in Minnesota, best hospitals, highest quality of care, best veteran care too out of the country. Because there's some places in the U.S. where if you're a veteran, they will you'll be in that waiting room for hours and hours, or they won't give a shit about you. In Minnesota, there's so many resources for veterans to get help they need and get health care they need. For example, like Minnesota, I've kind of wanted to look at other states to live in because Minnesota gets cold. I'm good here. I'm cool here in Minnesota, to be honest. We got legal weed. I might consider opening a side business for marijuana because I'm a 420 friendly stream here. And I really thinking, you know what, I might want some extra money to help fund my trips to wherever I got to go to cover whatever. And I might want a weed business now. Thankfully, in the state of Minnesota, because I strongly, passionately support legalization of marijuana, my home state, I can have a business and do that now. That's pretty cool. I like freedom.
Tim Walz is back home.
His flight from D.C. just touched down in Minnesota about half an hour ago. Our Frankie McLister is live outside of his temporary residence in St. Paul. Frankie?
Frank, good evening to you. Now, you said just about 30 minutes ago, so put this into perspective. We're here in St. Paul, and we know that...
Yep, he's still governor. Yep, he'll be governor. There's no term limits on governor in Minnesota either.
He landed at Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport. So we're right here, our cruise, as a lot of security, unsure of what agency, I haven't been able to pick that out, but a lot of them are being staged. But imagine this, you're on a national, if not international stage, and now you're coming back to your little humble St. Paul street.
Governor Tim Walz watched from the front row as Vice President Kamala Harris conceded.
The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for.
Ending his family's, and the state's sudden rise to the top of the Democratic ticket.
That stuff is weird. That is weird behavior.
He said a lot of weird stuff, too.
And after speaking to the nation at the Democratic National Convention,
in which everyone is free to build the kind of life they want.
And a nonstop battleground state blitz.
It was a great message. It just wasn't enough of it, right? Which you can be like, well, Andrew, it was every single day, multiple times a day at the end. They need someone like as a Tim Walz type message. And Tim Walz, why was Tim Walz not on any right-wing media at all? Tim Walz was built for that. Tim Walz is the candidate they should have had on every right-wing. Tim Walz should have sat down on Joe Rogan. Tim Walz should have went on every right-wing podcast, every single right-wing media. Tim Walz should have been doing that while Kamala Harris was still doing her thing. That should have happened, and it didn't. But again, it was too late, though. With the understanding how big the win was for MAGA, it was too late already. Like, I feel like even if Walz was the front runner, I would think the Democrats would have taken an L in this election and would have lost based on the numbers and the fucking amount of the popular vote to MAGA, and then taking the House and the Senate. It was too little, too late. So going into this administration for Trump and for 2028, but also midterms in 2026, the Tim Walz type politician, which again can appeal to right wingers because he did. He's a hunter. He owns firearms. He loves football. He can actually talk about football, which I can do. And the other thing, everything MAGA and right wingers like, I'm either good at or I can talk about it, which the Democrats need. You need that. You need people that know what the fuck they're talking about, like culturally, that MAGA is interested in. If they're not, if they come across like some like, oh, I just looked up the stats an hour ago and here I am, like, no, like there has to be people that are genuinely interested in the things that MAGA are interested in, which a lot of Democrats are. A lot of them are. A lot of people are. Most people are, to be honest. But unfortunately, like the Democratic Party isn't platforming, and only they did at the end. That's why a lot of people like Tim Walz. A lot of people were like, oh, Tim Walz, but it's too late. The fact that it was like August or late August, and I had people like, oh, Mercado lives in Minnesota. Can you tell me about Tim Walz? Yeah, I can tell you all about him, about my governor, but the fact that we have the election in like a month and a half and you're asking me who Tim Walz is, damn. You know what I mean? That's strategies to think of for the next time. So if there's somebody that is populist, maybe that's like Tim Walz or others, they need to be platformed fast and then let them be platformed for the duration. Fuck football, not even football, hockey, I don't care, basketball, sports, team sports. If you don't like team sports, then don't like team sports. But guess what? Majority of America loves team sports. Okay, so what do you want to do? You want to win or do you want to keep losing? So people that are left-leaning that love team sports, pick your favorite team sport and talk about it. Talk about it.
What's next for Governor Walz? Minnesota was his one-word answer to a pool reporter today.
I'm really happy he's home. Sad he's not going to be our VP, and really happy he's back to being governor. And he's on the world stage now.
Being a neighbor of the family, have you met them?
Yes, briefly. Welcome home. We are behind you 100%. That continues, and thank you for your leadership and service. We're very grateful.
But folks here are also grateful for a little less attention on their neighborhood.
You know, police presence we don't normally have.
Yeah, they probably had Secret Service around the whole thing.
And a lot of light. They have done a really good job at keeping everybody safe in the neighborhood, informed about what's going on.
And there was a lot going on. Secret Service escorts, security checks, and media circuses, like this one, when Vice President Kamala Harris picked Walz to be her running mate on a sunny August day. And now on a cool November night, neighbors are ready to welcome him home.
We're happy to have him here.
This is new video just in of Governor Tim Walz arriving at his home in St. Paul in the past few minutes. The former vice presidential nominee is now back on the job, but
another L too. We're talking about L's and things that went wrong, right? Tim Walz did 0 rallies in Minnesota, which you're like, yeah, that's usually a guarantee. But like, he's the governor of this state. You know what I mean? And also that hurt Minnesota. Well, it went blue, which it always does. Didn't go blue until like midnight this time, and it's usually like a California. It's usually like California where it's like blue. Next. No, Trump had a serious amount of votes in Minnesota this time. That's not good. That's not good. And zero campaigns here, and he's the governor of the state. He should have had at least like 3 of them. 3 major. Could have been at the XL Energy Center. He's the governor of the state. None. 0. He did one. When did he do one? See, I don't even. When did he do one? When did Walz have a? I shouldn't be asking this. When was Walz's Minnesota rally? Walz rallies in Wisconsin. He rallied, like, was it yesterday? Was it the day before, maybe? At the fairgrounds? Yeah, okay. That's not good enough, though. That's like a regular, people are going to the state fair to go to the state fair, not to listen to politics. Like, it's there as you're walking past the booths and you're like, oh, like, I'll stop by it for a second, but you're going to the state fair to eat food and listen and live music and drink. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't have any major like rallies here in my home state, and he's the governor. It would have been easy, and then it wouldn't have been a problem in Minnesota. But it was even an issue, and it was even a cause of concern for Minnesota for a while. I was like, damn, it's gonna go blue, but like, it took a while, and there were a lot of Trump votes for blue, or for there were a lot of Trump votes in Minnesota. Whole strategy change, you guys. Whole strategy change, and it's fine. I mean, yeah, if you are upset about the results, you have every right to be. Don't let anybody troll you into like, and you got, you lost, so you can't have any negative feelings about it. Brought to you by the same people that were out there freaking rioting the Capitol, guys. You listen, there's nobody there. Listen, Trump supporters do not have a leg to stand on when it comes to talking about how to cope from an election loss. Okay, they're gonna be trolling in chats. They're going to be very excited in the chats and like tell you how you voted for the wrong candidate, so you're lost. Haha, Trump won. Take it, suck it up. But never let them create a reality to where you're like, damn, is me being upset and posting on Facebook about the loss Is that like comparable to anything that we've seen from the other side? And the answer is no. The answer is absolutely not. Because this is how MAGA handled their election loss. We watched it for days, or excuse me, watched it all day long. Nonstop. Okay. They were thinking it was the end of the end. And that's how they sold this election too, was that if they didn't win, it would be the end. Fearful for 2028 for sure. I don't know what that's going to look like, but their messaging won. Their propaganda won. And ever since this moment, MAGA's propaganda kicked into overdrive. The things that they were telling their base to care about kicked into overdrive. Ignoring reality kicked into overdrive. And we can't undo that. The only thing we can do is provide a better reality now. Okay? We got to show why our reality is better than theirs. It's not this is the only reality now, because it's too late for that. I mean, here we go. It's too late. It's too late to undo the MAGA reality. That's the reality for them. What we have to do, sell our reality is better. Which I feel that it's the real one. It's the regular one. It's the one where you go outside and touch grass, and there's grass out there, or maybe whatever the weather is. But that's the sell now. Okay, the sell is our reality is much more grounded in truth, and you can't do that by political correctness or social justice nonsense or any of like the strategy that the Democratic Party's been employing for the past few years, for the past like 5-6 years. It's got to switch. If anything, you see the MAGAs becoming more of like snowflakey. I'm gonna stop that too. Like, what are you acting like you can't criticize Trump for? You got to someone's got a syndrome if they say Trump said something bad. Like, what do you mean? Is that freedom of speech? Right? What does that mean? Right? Or there were people who were straight up asking me, like, what are you going to do with your platform now that Trump won? I mean, yeah, well, I delete it and end it. That's what you want me to do. You want me to delete my platform because I lost. That's not going to happen. Are you silly? Right? Like I said, if anything, you created more content for me to cover and you refocused me. I was confused. I didn't know what I was going to do if Kamala Harris did win for content. Because, yeah, I'll cover Ukraine. But I was losing my relevance, to be honest, because I stopped covering American-centric stuff. And I started focusing on geopolitics. And that was a fat fucking L for me. Good for YouTube, but overall for like growth of my community, it didn't really... not like 2020, not like while I was covering domestic news inside the United States like I'm going to return to. So if anything, MAGAs, you get what you want, and I'm going to return back to what I used to do. So you get what you want though, I guess, but you know, the cost of this is going to be very high. The cost of this is going to be the ripple effect is not going to be good in other countries and other people, and there's going to be people suffering because of this. Okay. But that's what was voted for. So that's what we have to respect. And I'm not going to question the results of the election. I'm not going to inspire or incite a fucking riot at the U.S. Capitol because Kamala Harris lost. That is so embarrassing. That is so embarrassing. There's no way. So the thing that's telling me what to do is to refocus and dig in and grind. And now we have work to do. And there's a lot of people that didn't vote. And there's a lot of people that were sold a lie. And it's up to us and up to me and anybody that's going to be around in my community to provide a positive community or provide a place that is not this safe space baked in fear and in misogyny and nonsense and toxicity and carnage. Like if you actually did appreciate the Harris message at the end of her campaign, that's what I believe in, but I'm not going to do it in the way that the Democratic Party has been. I'm going to be more or less politically correct, like I already am anyways, but it's going to be more geared towards what's going to win the elections, not what's going to make the most amount of people happy. Okay. Making the most amount of people. And I'm going to make sure I don't offend this group and this group. And I'm not going to be like outwardly offensive just to be offensive, but like, when I have things to say, or if I have a criticism of Trump to make, or if I'm seeing like scammers or grifters or whatever, I'm going to call them out. I don't care what side they're on. I don't care if they're aligned with me or whatever. I'm going to say this is wrong. And that will either yuck your yum or it'll tickle your fancy. And that's up to you to decide if you like that or not. But I'm not going to be, I'm not going to mince words, and I'm not going to do, it's going to change, you guys. Okay. The engagement's going to change. We're going to be on the ground more. I'm going to be streaming IRL more, asking people questions more, basically everything I've been wanting to do, but it's been very difficult to do being locked into geopolitics. But now we have a mission. And I hope that you guys do stick around my community. We're going to be growing from here. I'm live every day starting at 2 o'clock. I've been the last 2 days. Yesterday I didn't stream, obviously, didn't feel like it. I was up for like 12 hours straight. I drank a bunch of energy drinks and just felt like shit the next day. Yesterday I did stream gaming, I think, for a little while. I don't even know what day it is. It's like Thursday or Friday. But then yeah, starting tomorrow we'll be back regular time, 2 o'clock. 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. Current events are happening. Things are still going on. There's reactions to Trump's loss and whatnot that I'll get to, but I wanted to give my full what's next in my own stream before I play other people's takes on it, like on the internet. So that's that. Any questions you guys have? Any questions about the community? Any questions about what's next? Any questions about what we're going to be doing here on the channel and the platform for the next 4 years straight? Any questions? Mega seem to be both terrible. GG on that stream. I appreciate that, Lucius. I appreciate that. Any questions on this? Biden messed up nominating Kamala in the first. Biden didn't nominate her. It was Democratic Party chose Kamala Harris. That's a lot of people had a problem with that. I was okay with it because I was kind of blinded into I just want to defeat Trump. But the choosing of Kamala Harris about really asking the Democratic Party voters, like, if this is who you really, really, really want, that was also another L. Also another L. Again, even though I loved Kamala Harris's message, I loved her vision, I loved Tim Walz, the campaign was great. It was clean, strong vision, too little, too late. And then also it wasn't the choice of what everybody would have chose as the front runner, you know? Those are the things to learn from. Doesn't mean it's all an L, doesn't mean it's all lost, doesn't mean it's like this is it now. No, it means we just have work to do. It means we think we have resiliency and we have to work to do on mistakes. And I'm not even a big voice in like online politics yet, because I've been covering geopolitics and that doesn't really get a whole lot of attention in the United States. But I promise you, we'll be talking with more people, and I don't know who else is a political streamer other than like Dylan, Destiny, Hassan, but I don't really want to cross with Hassan, at least right now, with the way he's been directing his platform. Don't really support any of that. So, you know, I'm going to get involved more on that level and get you guys connected into other communities. The other thing I'm not going to do is I'm not making friends anymore. We're done making friends. Okay. Just because I associate with another platform does not mean I'm friends with them. And that way now you guys all go and support this person in this community and blah, 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 blah. I'll tell you when. I'll tell you if there's a person that I want you to follow or support because of their work. But this kumbaya, I'm here to have a community and be friends with other YouTubers and their communities, and done. We're not doing that. It's over now. That era is over too. We have a mission. We have an objective. I have a vision for this mission and objective, and I want to execute. And I have a community to do so. And I'm very happy and I'm very proud of the community that I have. Thank you for all the support, no matter what, for these past 4 years. And now we got 4 more years of this, I guess, of being together, covering the current events. And I was not that I was going to stop anyways, but it would have been some serious trying to figure out what I wanted to do next with my platform. But now, because Trump won, that's what I'm going to be doing now. I'm going to be covering current events and the repercussions of this administration while getting back on the ground, boots on the ground, and talking to people and streaming. And that's what we're going to do. Okay. No political correctness, no woke, as MAGAs would say, right? No woke nonsense, no political violence. Okay. But I expect that from my MAGAs too. You can't be some soft snowflake because somebody's mad at Trump. You can't be some soft little bitch because somebody's like, Donald Trump, I don't like his policies and positions. Trump is your president. He actually won. Like, bro, you want to go raid a, if you want to go raid a dollar store to get your energy out because you're triggered that someone doesn't like Trump, then do that. But I'm not going to have that. Like, people are not going to like Trump, and you have to be okay with that. Like, a lot of people are not going to like Trump, and you voted for him knowing that. You are proud of that, actually. You're going to all the liberal content and looking for tears right now. You're looking for tears. So you should know that there will be a lot of people that do not like him and will not like him. And you have to be ready for that. Just like when Trump won the first time, you expected liberals to be okay with it because Hillary lost, and he's your president now. He's your president, so you better show him respect. Okay? Well, actually, the energy should be towards people that don't support the establishment, no matter what, right? MAGAs have been some type of anti-establishment movement for the past 4 years because Biden's been in charge, right? Biden was the president. The Democrats were in charge. So now that the Republicans have full reign of the entire government at the federal level, it's the establishment now. Okay, that's now the establishment. So you should understand that there's going to be an energy against this, and you can't be a snowflake little bitch dealing with it and say, you can't criticize my Trump. I'm leaving because they said some bad things about Trump. No, can't have it. Can't have that either. If I'm going to be less restrictive on language and how people are engaging with each other because I want more of a welcoming community for all, I better not see any snowflake energy about Trump. Can't say bad things of Trump. He's my leader. He's my president. Okay. I'm not going to have that. There's going to be no kind words for anybody, for any politician anymore. Fuck it. Nobody. Fuck them all. You're setting the right example of taking an L. The right sued and rioted, and you're looking inwardly and getting to work. Wishing you success, even though we're probably not on the different side. Thank you, Gen X Josh. Got to. Have to. With an L like that. What else? I mean, you can't. There's no, you'd have one room, you'd have maybe a different argument if the Democrats held on to the House, Senate and like won the House. Then it'd be like, oh, Trump can't get anything done anyways, because the government it's split, but it's not. Republicans have control of all of it. The House, the Senate, and the presidency. And not only did they win the presidency through the Electoral College, but they won with the popular vote. So more people that did vote voted Trump. Now, it doesn't mean that half the fucking country voted for Trump and over half the country voted for him. That's not what that means. It's of the election, of the amount of people that voted, more people voted for Trump, even in the popular vote. So yes, he did receive more votes than she did, but we have work to do in getting people registered and getting people involved politically, because there's a lot of people that did not vote this time. A fuckload of people that didn't even go out there and do it because, again, because of Israel, because of the Middle East, because because of groceries, the inflation, the border, immigration, all of this, all the media messaging worked. It worked well, and it did a number on a lot of people. So maybe it will be the realization of like, oh, these problems weren't even problems. I was tripping for the past 4 years, but it's because Trump's my president now. That's why. Trump's my president. I can feel better again. Oh, people were posting on Facebook like 2 days ago. Oh, it just smells more affordable outside right now. Okay. I hope you keep that, because I'm going to remember that. I'm going to remember that in like 2-3 years when the corporations get more tax breaks and then sales tax goes up and you're paying more for regular products. But you're going to tell yourself that you're paying more for products because it's going to help bring jobs back to the U.S. While we don't have a jobs problem. We're not in there's no jobs issue at all. But you're going to tell yourself that. You're going to be like, I'm doing my part. I'm doing my part for Trump to bring back these factory jobs from China. Oh, that'd be interesting. Oh, we'll be here though. All right. Guess what I'm doing with the rest of my night? Oh, big surprise. We're going to be on my gaming channel. It's almost as if like not a whole lot's changing, to be honest. We're going to be on my gaming channel, Mercado Gaming. We have more Call of Duty to play, but not Black Ops 6. We're going back to our story game mode night tonight because I just feel like getting lost in a good story tonight. But I played Black Ops 6 and I loved it. And then I went back and I streamed Black Ops, the first one, the campaign, which was a blast. Well, I got Black Ops Cold War downloaded, so we're going to continue the story. I've already streamed Black Ops Cold War, but we're going to play the story because it picks off of where we left off in Black Ops, the game, because I want to continue back with, bring it to Black Ops 6. So Black Ops Cold War tonight. Tomorrow, probably Black Ops 2, because that's the next one in the timeline. And then we're going to play a game on Saturday called Life is Strange. The new one. Okay? We're going to play the new one. It kind of makes sense. It's kind of like poetic for the time anyway. So Saturday, Life is Strange. Today, Black Ops Cold War. Tomorrow, Black Ops 2 on my gaming channel. And then Saturday, we'll be chilling. But also back here on the channel, on Mercado Media, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern every day, going through all the latest with the news, the current events, Ukraine, geopolitics, domestic politics, Trump's upcoming administration, the end of Biden's administration. We got a lot to talk about. There's a lot to cover. Lots gonna be changing. But I'm gonna be here for you. All right? There's gonna be changes, but we're gonna be here. This community is not going anywhere. Join the Discord server. The link is in the description. If anything, I'm glad for the last couple of years we built this, and now it exists going into this, right? Imagine going into Trump's presidency and you didn't have this community to fall back onto and talk to. That would have sucked, huh? Good thing it doesn't have to suck. See you guys on my gaming stream. So like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't, and I'll see you on the next one. Slava Ukraine, Slava United States. And Vladimir Putin, do fuck off. Take care.
Bang.
Revenge is a must, where wanted get buried in dust. 6 foot deep, man, I live a boy under dog jail, and me be that cost. Payback time, I show no remorse. On my guy, cause a lot go to bust. Bad man, them they coming like Judas. Want see me on the nail and cross. Everybody listen, time not the way the clock tick. Everybody listen, time not the way the clock tick. Revenge is a must, where wanted get buried in dust. 6 foot deep, and I live a boy under dog, yeah, and me be that cost. Revenge is a must. I want them, I seek repent and I want them. Revenge is a must, where one can get buried in dust. I want them, I seek repent and I want them. Revenge is a must, where one can get buried in dust. wanted, get buried in dust. 6 foot deep, when I live a boy underdog, yeah, and me with that horse. Payback time, I show no remorse. I'm a guy, cause I like go boss. Bad man, them, they coming like Judas. Want see me on the nail and cross. Revenge is a must.
I got ice in my veins, loaded guns, I'm insane. 5 foot piece in my land, enemies sliding dead. Making shit with my troop, iron tanks, bulletproof. We attack, we don't play. Don't fuck with Ukraine. Don't fuck with Ukraine. Don't fuck with Ukraine. Don't fuck with Ukraine. You can try to invade with your guns and your tanks. We prepared for the game. We destroy fucking snakes. Be aware of the beasts that will tear you in peace. We attack, we don't play. Don't fuck with Ukraine. Don't fuck